It'd be cool. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the show. Welcome back to Collecting Profit. I have a great special guest today we're looking forward to. So happy when he agreed to go ahead and come on. Before we get there, Michael, Auto Card Collection. Got some links and stuff are in the description for everybody. So you can go ahead and check out all our IG, eBay stores, YouTubes. I got my my partner in crime, Anthony. How are you?
Good, man. Appreciate you having me. Really excited to talk to Carrie this week, man.
All right. And we got a special guest, Mr. American Arbitrage Cards.
Hey, everybody. I'm Carrie, American Arbitrage Cards. I love, I resell cards mostly. I collect a little bit, but it's my passion. It's the thing I'm most excited to talk about within what I do for a living, which is full-time reselling.
Yeah, that's how we kind of found, knew about you to begin with. From American Arbitrage. Curry has a whole, hey Vlogs, how you doing, buddy? Curry has a whole nother life outside of cards and reselling.
Yes. Whole other life. This is my escape right here, the cards channel, where I can be my alter ego. It's fun.
Yeah. So, you said that, obviously, you're a reseller. If I remember correctly, I was listening to you said it was what? You got into cards by your brother helped you get into cards?
Yeah. Seriously, it was that simple. My brother gave me a shoebox full of cards back in 1990. And I don't know, I was like 6 or 7 years old, and he's like, come in my room, Carrie. And it wasn't to get a noogie or whatever, get beat up or whatever. It was just he was going to hand me a box of his cards he didn't want anymore. And it was a bunch of, I don't know why this random assortment, but it was like 78 and 77 football. And then 1990 Donruss, that terrible, I don't know, I love it, but it is really a dopey design, like paint splatter red Donruss baseball. That, back in the day was okay. I mean, it had Juan Gonzalez and Sammy Sosa rookies, and Frank Thomas was in it. I don't remember. But it was iconic to me. The Diamond Kings were maybe my first obsession with sports cards. Were the I forgot the guy's name, that Dick Perez or whatever. He did all the art for the Diamond King stuff. And I thought those cards were the coolest thing in the world. I stopped going every week to Target or Toys R Us for video game stuff or Ninja Turtles, and started going to the card shop. Trying to get, and I'm still the same way, trying to get as many cards as I possibly could for the money I have. And I'm still that way. I'm the guy that's going to go buy the Donruss, hobby box over one where you get 2 cards. I'd rather have a bunch of base and a chance for more rookies and just, I don't know, more time enjoying my breaking process, if that makes sense. It's cathartic.
Oh, yeah. Well, you're 100% correct. I mean, you get a Donruss box, you get, 20-something packs or something. You're still paying.
That's the way it should be. I feel like that's the way it should be. Ever since I was a kid, I mean, I was getting boxes of cards for Christmas once a year. That was really the only time I ever got any hobby stuff, and I'd want everything, Upper Deck, Fleer, whatever I got any given year. Usually basketball when I was, in my early teens and my mid-teens, but it all had 24, 36 packs, and it was, a couple hours, and then I got to separate the cards afterwards, put them in teams, and then put the back in like 97, I was putting my Sharif Abdul-Rahim rookie cards in my binder, and I don't even probably tossing my Kobe Bryants. So, I mean, it was just a different time back then.
Binders and Kobe Bryant is a sore subject for Anthony.
Yes,
is it?
I'm still missing one. Literally the first 9 pages were the rookie card of him with the glasses on the forehead. And then from there I had like all of his cards from like his first 2 years.
I'd have to say, I know it's not the most expensive, but that is the most iconic Kobe Bryant rookie card for me, is the Upper Deck. We all lived through the 90s, the Oakley sunglasses that, I couldn't afford, so I just had fake Oakleys that I'd wear around town as a 12 or 13-year-old. But yeah, that's the iconic Kobe Bryant rookie card for me. I mean, the EX 2000 or whatever the fancy ones I couldn't touch with the 10-foot. I didn't have that money back then, but I could get an Upper Deck pack. So
for sure, I was the same way. I had a ton of the Upper Deck ones just from ripping the packs.
Way too many collector's choice, but that was the cheapest. That was the stuff you could get at Kmart or Walmart for nothing.
Yep. Absolutely. That's how I collected most of my stuff. Just my mom would bring me home a box, and I'd go to town, man. Like I'd get mostly almost an entire set just out of one box. Like
I know,
nowadays, that's unheard of.
Yeah, and it was a different time. Like you would get excited over the insert cards, and now they're not much of anything. But that was a great time. Gosh, I wish. I mean, I wish they weren't so expensive. Especially the basketball. I'd love to buy some. Even 95, 96. I'd love to go Jerry Stackhouse rookie hunting. Because he was the dude back in the day. But still, those boxes are way too expensive. Yeah.
Well, I think it's amazing now. I think some more times it's inserts now is what draws you in more because there's so many variety out there.
Yeah.
It's Series 1, Series 2, an update, and blah, 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 blah. I mean, it's like, holy smokes.
Yeah, how many rookies does like a Julio Rodriguez have right now? Like from last year? There's got to be, without counting parallels, there's got to be 50 plus. And then if you get into parallels, it's hundreds. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody said it was over 1,000.
Oh, it's definitely more. Scotty B Cards did a video doing one of ones, and he did Wander Franco, Mike Trout, and somebody else. And Wander Franco has, I think, like over 200 one of ones.
I think people are sleeping on the fact that that's a lot of these cards that are super, especially the hyper modern stuff. That's why I love playing in the bargain bins. I'm a picker. I'm a garage sale guy. I'm going to find cards that are worth more money right now, and I'm just going to find them cheap. I'm going to go out and find them in a dollar bin and sell them for $8 tomorrow. And a lot of this investing thing, I don't feel like, for the most part, it's super sustainable. A lot of these people, they're showing the videos, but for every hit they get, they get a miss. They're breaking even and making content about it, which I don't blame them. It's fun content to watch, but it's definitely not my style. My style is to, even if it's not as much money as I'd like, I'm trying to make money on every purchase I make. Unless it's a box, I know I'm going to lose money on that. But
yeah, it's interesting to see that some of the guys, they open up, I paid $1,200 for this box, and when they pull the cards, they get $85 in value.
Yeah, if they're lucky. It's ridiculous. It's almost criminal that these companies are giving so little in these expensive boxes, but that's just the market right now. And if you have the $1,200 to burn, for fun, go for it. I think it's good entertainment, but I definitely don't. I get nervous when I spend over $100 on a box, man.
Yeah, you talk about the bargain bins. I mean, Anthony and I, we went to the National in Chicago 2 years ago, and even at the National, which is a museum of sports cards, and you could literally buy stuff in every single price range. I mean, they had the case of 86 Fleer basketball for like $250,000 or whatever the price was. But both of us spent most of our time hitting the bargain boxes there too, and found a bunch of stuff because everybody else was so busy looking at all the other stuff. They were walking by bargain. I mean, and some of them, they'd be like, the more you buy, the better you get. And like, whatever it may be, 20, and sometimes until you get like 15 for $1 if you would buy so many of them. Right? And you will find it numbered cards, rookie cards, patch cards, inserts, all in there.
Yep. I like to think a lot when I'm going through the bargain bins, especially when they're the super cheap ones, the 10 cents, 25 cents. Is just like there's people, because I know I've opened enough boxes. There's some boxes where that's the best card you got. It might be a 5-year-old card, so now that prospect is nobody, whatever. But like that was the hit for your $80 or $800 box. I mean, nothing I love more than a dollar box, finding anything National Treasures, anything like that. Just knowing that based on how much per card the box is, that's like $100, $200 cost for, that's not the main draw of the box, but. And then you're getting it for $1. It's just, to me, you can never lose in those kind of buys because somebody's going to collect that person. There's only 99 or 200 of that National Treasures card. Like I picked up a JD Martinez, napkin patch card, nothing too special. But for $1, I'm picking that up all day. Pretty much can, guarantee you're going to get 5 or 6. And then if nobody has it on eBay, you might get 10, 15, 20, some stupid price at some point. So
that's the cool thing too. A lot of people won't take the time to dig through those boxes. So guys like you, me, Michael, that will take time to actually go and dig through those boxes for the gems, like really make out.
It's true, yeah. And if I really did the grading, which I don't do, and I'm probably going to start here at some point. There's a whole nother angle with that. If you actually get really good at it, you could start finding some stuff that you can grade, and then even make more money on average. I mean, you're going to lose every now and then because PSA or whoever, what other random person is doing card grading at the moment will screw you on a couple.
Well, especially if you'd be able to, especially if you're able to buy in bulk like we tend to buy, right, and then grade in bulk. That dollar card, maybe grade, maybe raw it's $12-15, but maybe graded at a 10, it's 30. Hey, it's a pretty good return on investment.
If you're getting the discount for doing a bunch at once, then it makes sense.
Yeah,
but, yeah, I love that. I love the bargain boxes because there's, especially nowadays, there's so many parallels that I feel like people aren't completely or even the old parallels. Like I find the old, what are they, the Donruss Elites from like the early 90s that were numbered to 10,000. Those will be in bargain bins all the time, and a lot of those are 30, 40, $50, and it can be Cecil Fielder. It doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be Cal Ripken Jr. or whoever. And then, with the modern stuff, people are putting, I don't know, optic checkerboard, cards in there for getting their case hits and stuff like that. And I find that kind of stuff often. And that's the fun of the hunt, just knowing that there's always more you can learn. And if you become more educated on it, you just open yourself up to that many more hits when you look through the bins.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, that's something that people are looking by. Like we've been, who was it? Card Collector 2, Ryan. He before the Nationals were in Chicago and everything, he was talking that what did he say, Anthony? Like 7 to 8 months before National, he starts putting his dollar bins together, and he's like, guys, he goes, I'm not going through them if all of a sudden some players get hot. He goes, so check the bins. And we went over to his. He had not only numbered, but he had colored numbers, he had numbered parallels. He had, all that kind of stuff and everything. So it was like, wow, this is pretty good. You're hitting them up for $1.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's And imagine some of these vendors that don't take that inventory and put it on eBay in between shows. It's like literally just like gold that they've had sitting there for God knows how long. Until somebody took the time to actually dig through the entire box.
Yeah. I love that too. A lot of these boxes, you got to remember, like, it's a lot of work to put them together, and they're not going and rechecking their boxes. So if they have that same box, and obviously they fill in some new stuff that they get, but some of the back of those rows are filled with cards they put in a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And then all of a sudden, Oscar Colas or Anthony Volpe or whatever gets hot. And then those cards are in the dollar boxes and they don't realize that. I've had that happen so many times in my life. My old shop in Utah before we moved down here to Vegas was like 3 doors down from the quintessential old guy card shop that had been around since before I was born. I think it's been around since '82. He's been in the same location. He did all these dollar packs like 10 years ago or 6 years ago. And I remember I was just buying them up because, especially when the cards got super hot, because there was like, all these Prism 2012s on the front. I'm like, for $0.25, I can't lose. And I was opening them. I ended up buying pretty much everything. And I got like a Giannis rookie in one of them out of one of the quarter packs, a Giannis rookie that was like an immediate $70, without grading it. And it's just, of course, he didn't go back and recheck his stuff and he's not doing eBay and he's not keeping up with what's hot at the moment.
Yeah. And it's, like you said, that it's a great opportunity to do, there's so many people that look at, what we do. And I say we, because, most of my sales are that below $10. I mean, I get, I have some, that are in the 20s and everything, but most of my, are in, in the $10. That's why, like I watch Josh Unboxed. I'm trying to get him on the show because he's another guy who's in that same type of thing. His videos are really, really good. I mean, he, explains, he kind of, he really takes you on the journey as he goes through his process and everything, which is very cool.
I think a part-time thing for him because he has from what I can gather, he has like a full-time job. But if he was able to like do more videos, he would. I mean, he's already blown up decent size for the amount of videos he does. But
yep.
Yeah, his stuff's really good. I kind of find myself in the vein of I get inspired by Josh, and then also like the Dollar Box, just like who's a fairly niche channel, but I love watching him go through and showing that he sold a Brett Favre card for $1.75 free shipping. I don't know why. I get more excited for that than some of these big finds, that a $600 GI Joe sale I have. I honestly get more excited for the cards, even the low end cards, because I just know they're everywhere, absolutely everywhere, and anybody can find them. And with like Card Dealer Pro, which I've been using a lot lately, it's just like I can list this stuff so much quicker now that it makes it super viable for a way to have a baseline like eBay.
Have you had experience like with using newer cards on Card Dealer Pro? Like you had any issues with like 2020 and newer?
Yeah, it's not as good as the older. Like it's glitchy. Not glitchy, it just doesn't have everything. And then like if I will do it'll have stuff from it even has 2023 tops in there right now. You can do. But it's probably better with that than other things. But if I put in nothing but modern 100 cards, I'll probably get anywhere from 50 to 70 that are recognized and 30 to 50 that aren't. And then I have to go in and just look them up, and most of them are there. You just have to look them up, which is still quicker than putting them on eBay.
I was going to say, it's still quicker than having to do all of them on eBay alone.
Exactly. Now, but I mean, there's times where it's, especially if I'm dealing with 80s, like football or something, they'll get 98% of them. It's just all in what you choose, and it's getting better. And I think I've talked to the guys at Card Dealer Pro. I'm actually going to meet up with them when they're here in Vegas this weekend. Cool. And they're working on, I don't know if I'm sure it's pretty, they've talked about it, but they're working on soccer and all the other sports. It may take a little while, but I can't wait for like soccer, cause I love soccer stuff. And Marvel would be awesome. I'd love an excuse to buy, I don't know, bull riding cards and be able to list them really quickly. It's like stupid stuff. I like the more random, the better, honestly.
Do they do NASCAR? Or do they do racing cards?
No, all they do is the four main sports, but they do hockey, which is cool.
Wow.
So, I mean, I've been buying more hockey because of that, because I can just put it through the system. I had like a lot from something sitting around for a couple of years of Eric Lindros cards, and I just posted them, and I think that it got almost every single one of them and found the ones easily that didn't pop up. So that changes the game. It makes it, I don't know if I'd be able to justify doing cards, the low end cards that I do right now, like the $1.50 free ship stuff, if it weren't for Card Dealer Pro. I mean, I need to focus on other stuff, but since I can do a couple hundred in a couple hours, I can justify it.
So now on your show last night when you were live, and I put that question in there about, hey, that I was looking at going the next step of, Card Dealer Pro and a scanner, and you said you don't use a scanner. So how do you find that, you taking them on your phone? I mean, and you're still going ahead and able to get that kind of success rate. That's pretty good.
Yeah. And I think, to be fair, I think part of the reason why I might even be missing some of those like them not like having the percentage I have is probably because I'm using my phone. If they were all scanned with perfect lighting, I probably would have a higher percentage, if that makes sense. The scanner is a no-brainer and something I'll get in the very, very near future. But I'm also the guy who has been reselling for 12 years and just barely got a label printer a year and a half ago. And I did cut out my papers and taped it. And I knew better. And I still didn't change. So I'm going to quickly adapt to the scanner. I'm so excited. It would be like getting a Nintendo 64 in the 90s for me at this point to get a card scanner. I would be that hyped up. I think it's showing that I'm old now, and I don't get that easily excited. But a card scanner would be amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna get the Epson one. Yeah, the 400 ES2 and everything. I mean, I wouldn't mind getting the other one, but I mean, $1,000 versus $300 right now. Go with the 300.
I think if I get which I'm going to get the Fujitsu, it's going to be the 70, the older model, because I've heard it's better with the Chrome stuff too.
Yeah, I think it's the 7160. I think is that or something like that. Or
Yeah, and it does 60 a minute. I don't need more than 60 a minute.
right.
I can't keep up with that. I don't want to do the math on that, but I'm not going to be posting that much in a day where it's going to matter anytime
Right.
soon. So 60 hour or minute would be plenty fine. But that would be nice. I was just going through like an 89 top set just to see what my success rate would be. And I think my lighting wasn't great or whatever, so I had a less of a success rate than I thought I would. I think did 130 cards and 40 of them I had to input, but some of my photos were blurry. I was doing it as fast as I could, but it would have just been so much nicer for 2 minutes in a scan feeder to do it, and not doing it for 7-8 minutes it took me to take the pictures. So
yeah, but I like you had mentioned last night about the other one, the Crow, whatever. I forgot what's the other
Chronazio,
that one.
I think it's called.
Yeah, Chronazio. And I've looked at, the different ones that are out there. I just like Card Dealer Pro was the most user friendly to me. It seemed to be, a lot easier to use. The stuff you could do right on the website of, if you're not sure how to price a card, they actually have some links right there, and you can go ahead and go to and see what the eBay listings look like and stuff like that. So, it seems
I think
Chronazio
has that now. I'm not, and I haven't used Chronazio, so I can't really say much about that other than I think either one of those, and I'm definitely on team Card Dealer Pro. I think either one of those, if you're really wanting to put out a consistent, decent number of cards, a month or weekly or whatever, I think either one of those would help a ton. It's totally changed my card business, and it's growing. I mean, like I've said, I think I said it in my live yesterday, and I've said it a couple other times. I went from like maybe 500 listings last year, and maybe only half of those being cards, to I think I'm at like 4,100 as of yesterday, and that's like 35, maybe 3,500 cards the more I think of it, because I don't have as much other stuff at the moment because garage sale season's just starting. This is the time of year when I start loading up on shirts and toys and video games or whatever I find out and about.
So do you think so? Obviously, for those who don't know or in the chat and everything, at least from the sports card side, I mean, like Harry said, he's also, he's a full-time reseller and does, a lot of other, stuff. Do you how do you think you're going to work with your cards as you go into garage sale season, yard sale season, when that's really, a bunch of other stuff for you? Do you think your card business could, slow down a little bit, or are you going to make more of an effort to make sure it stays going?
I'll make an effort to make sure it keeps going. I'll have more distractions. So I could see it being a struggle to make sure that I'm trying to post 100 cards a day. I think I can keep up with that, because realistically that's about an hour, maybe 2 if I'm going really slow. And I know you can do it faster, but I mean, I need a scanner and I need so I don't have as many errors. So that's taking up some time right now. But as the only thing that really takes up the time is not so much the posting of other stuff, it's the content. I'm doubling up on content now and doing all my TikToks everywhere, all my short form. That's the thing, when I got to sit down and actually edit. But this last weekend was amazing. I went garage sailing. I probably got 2 classic, Froggy Flip style garage sale videos. But I also found, they're not as good as his, but like that everybody knows who he is, like where you're out and you're buying stuff at a garage sale to put on eBay. But I also found like cards at one of the garage sales. So I'm like, oh great, now I got a card garage sale video, which I'd love to see more of. And I probably, find cards at least a couple times a summer, a decent amount. And I'm just going to make those, on the card channel instead of on my original channel. So I'm excited. I was able to find a lot of footage last weekend, which was great.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that one, the short and everything, or part of that one where you went up to the table and you saw the cards, and that guy did have his stuff priced a little higher than I think he probably should have, but you were still able to go ahead and work a deal with him and get some stuff.
I realized, I don't know. I think he was priced pretty good on the one box that was 50 cents. And I know I could have worked that box down probably, but he was overpricing his patches and stuff. And they weren't like, National Treasures patches. They were blaster box Donruss, like, I don't know, like Christmas sweater patches or whatever the heck they're doing. So I just ended up going through and taking some of the numbered stuff, but there was some good numbered stuff in that other box. I got like a Jake Ferguson Mosaic numbered to 50. And I think I'm the low on eBay right now at like 35. And he looks like he's going to be the starter for the Cowboys because Dalton Schultz left, I believe. So that was good. That should pay for the whole lot, give or take a few dollars. And then everything else, I put a lot of it already through. I put stuff through Whatnot. One of the things with doing my card channel is I want to grow like my following on Whatnot with card people, because I would love nothing more than to go bargain bin hunting. That's my whole goal. And then every time I have a good hunt, Burbank or wherever, I tie in a bargain bin auction on Whatnot. And then I just move 80% of it directly to the people who watch the video or people who like this kind of stuff. And hopefully they can get some good deals. And I'll probably make I will make a profit on this stuff, I'm sure. But then also I'll be able to separate some of the real good stuff and put that on eBay, and I should be able to make a profit and then have some free inventory on eBay. And then, you're also making money on videos and all the other aspects of it. So it all works out.
For question, are you on NC Flipper's cast as well? Might be the other way around. He might be on.
Yeah, no, we got the Trash to Cash podcast. Me, Dave, the NC Flipper, and Kevin Commonwealth Picker. Me and Dave started that on a whim, like a year and a half, almost 2 years ago now, in October of 2020, I think. I don't remember when it was, or 2021. And I don't know. Me and Dave had we just got along really quickly, and I met all those guys because of TikTok. They
really?
all saw that I was doing good on TikTok at that time. I have almost 1 million followers on TikTok on my American Arbitrage channel. 874. I rounded up 100,000 because why not? They saw that and they wanted to learn about TikTok, and you don't really make any money on TikTok. We didn't know that a couple years ago, but now you don't even know if we're going to have TikTok next month. But they wanted to learn about that, and we all got along. Me and Dave started a podcast, and then Kevin Commonwealth Picker saw that it was working, so he joined the bandwagon, as he always does. So,
and I think it's awesome when you guys just rail on him. It's actually very funny.
We're humanizing him. If you guys don't know who Kevin Commonwealth Picker is, he's a very influential older gentleman that does garage sale videos. And he's a goody two shoes, like all American boy kind of vibe. And we just try to get him to say butthole. That's basically what we're trying to do in most podcasts, just to see if we can get him to say poop and diarrhea. And that we're just trying to mess with him.
But you're right, though. He does have that. He does have that. He comes at wholesomeness comes across,
and he is that person. To be fair, everything is a little bit everything's a little bit exaggerated on YouTube in general by editing and everything. But he really is that good guy. All just like he is what he shows. But he also, it's fun to see him let loose a little bit, and see how far we can push him, to leave his wholesome image, and me and Dave are both like that way too. We don't really swear too much. We don't, I don't drink. Dave doesn't. We're pretty lame people ourselves, but we like to mess with we like to mess with Kevin and try to get him to cut loose, and he's done it quite a bit, honestly, more so than I thought he would.
Yep. So go back. You talked about Whatnot, and even on your video last night, you had mentioned about getting on Whatnot and stuff. And I mean, what about for that I have an account on there. I don't do as much because a couple of times that I've done, I didn't get enough people in the room, and I just kind of, I don't want to say it's like you don't know what to put up then, right? Because it's hard to put up more expensive cards when there's 5 people in the room. So how do you what advice do you have for anybody who is thinking about Whatnot or wants to grow more on Whatnot? What do you do?
Be consistent, number one, but you also have to protect your stuff, that's the tough balance. It's a little hard for me because when I started, I kind of had a little bump at the start more than a normal person starting would have. That I have to factor in. That helped me a little bit, but I've still had auctions where I got completely worked, and that's great though. In my opinion, I did live auctions in Utah for years, and there has to be auctions or at least individual items in auctions where people get great deals. That's why people go to auctions. So you can't win them all. And some nights you don't win either, but it's tough when you're starting because you got to make a little money, or it doesn't make sense. So there's a lot of ways to do it. If I was newer, I would probably put a lot of stuff in buy it nows, but I would do inexpensive buy it nows, maybe $3, $5, $10, $20 cards. And I would be like showing people on eBay that these are worth more than what I'm asking. You know, you could get this and make $10 profit, get this and make $15 profit, whatever you would decide. And then intermittently I would run lower end card auctions. And like what I did this last week is I went to a bargain, you know, like the local card shop, got a bunch of $2 cards, you know, Trevor Lawrence rookie. And then I would just add a lot of bulk that I had, like shiny red, white, and blue prisms or something, whatever I had in stacks. And I would just keep adding cards and people would bid up and bid up. And then they ended up getting a nice little stack of cards for 13, sometimes $20, sometimes $3, where like I definitely lost on that one round, but they won. And that's kind of how it is. But I would encourage you just to try it. And I would just do a lot of buy it nows, but make them super, what would be the word? Super appealing. Like put up some $5 cards that you could go show comps for $12. Hopefully you're getting those in dollar bins and you're paying $1 or $2. So you're going to make money even if you sell it at $5. And then start throwing in maybe some stuff at $2, $3 in between, but then keep pushing your other cards, and then just be on as you know, on a consistent level, whether that's once a week, twice a week. The card, the card space on Whatnot is insane. You could be live 24. I mean, we can't humanly do it, but there are people who are live, companies that are live 24 hours a day. There is money to be made at every single hour, and there is a demand that I think there's a definite demand for singles auctions. It's like just tough to figure out, you know, because even I have to be super concerned about how am I going to be profitable doing this? And I have an okay size following, but a lot of my following isn't from cards. It's from other stuff. So I'm still, you know, a good auction, I'll get like, you know, 20, 25 people in a card auction, which isn't, you know, card dealer 2 numbers, but that's why I'm doing content too, you know, to add to so I can get those bigger numbers, because I think I'm capable
more
of
people
making
over that way.
Yeah, definitely makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
How have you enjoyed doing the card content as opposed to your regular reselling content?
I've loved it. I mean, I was doing some card content on my main channel. It was divisive. There was definitely people who loved it, and there was people who had zero interest. A lot of people were like, I could pull it off occasionally because it's still in the reselling space. But I wanted to talk more about it. And also I feel like with the card channel, I don't always have to be about what's this item worth. Because my whole American Arbitrage persona is, I'm at a thrift store. Here's this for $4. It's worth 25. Bye. You know, that's like every video I did. And I don't have to do that with cards. I can actually talk about something I'm interested in just because I think it looks cool. Or like the box. I do a lot of the box opening videos when I don't have bargain bin videos to do, or like card show videos that I can put up. And I'm trying specifically to talk less and less about the value of the cards, you know, in general, and talk more about, I like the design, or, you know, this is funny, or, you know, when I do have a big hit, I'll focus on I'm trying out and being creative as much as I can. When I first started, I was hyper editing the videos and putting a lot of whip bangs and flourishes. And now I'm seeing if I can get away with just using my voice inflection and making it less edited, and it's worked just as well. So, which is nice, because that's less work for me on the back end of doing these videos. But, but that's cool when you can figure that out. But it's done well. Like the short stuff is done really well. I love it. I think I keep hearing that we could tell how into it you are, and that gets us excited. So,
for sure.
Well, definitely. I mean, you could definitely see how, you know, the difference. Like, I mean, in videos, when people enjoy something versus when they don't, right? I mean, that, you know, people might not think about, you can kind of see it when people are doing something, you know, like a lot of people do like the what sold videos, and you can tell there's a very big difference than when you're doing the picking video, right? It's just like people are like, you know, oh yeah, hey, I bought this for $5, I sold it for $25. After shipping and fees, I made $15. Okay, next item.
That also has evolved. Like I've been watching YouTube reseller content and card content for like 12 years, give or take.
Oh, wow.
And back in the day, there wasn't much of anything available. So it was fine to sit and watch a fairly dry hour video of somebody just going through each thing they sold. But now, especially if you go watch my buddies like NC Flipper and Commonwealth Picker, they're doing like a program. Like lately, Dave has not even been reselling stuff. He's just talking about painting his storage room and all the crap that comes along that, and that he's tired. But that works because, like I've told Dave this 1,000 times, people aren't watching you now for what you sell. They're watching you because they want to watch you. And that's where you want to, I feel like that's where I think there's a lot of that lacking in the card space. I see a lot of people relying on the fact that I feel like they need to show that they spent $50,000 at a card show, when I think people would be just as interested in watching them go eat an In-N-Out burger and give their review on the double animal style. Do the stuff that kind of gets, you want to have the card content be the backdrop and the life and the style of everything, but you want them to get to know you so that they'll watch whatever you do. So someday I just bought 5 cards and made $20 profit, but I put out a video, and hopefully they're watching because they just want to hang out with me and talk cards. And and it makes it less pressure. You don't have to go out and spend 50 grand a card show. You can go just buy one card and talk about how important that card is to you or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, Rippin, you're not wrong. I mean, I think, they've figured it out. These companies have figured out the hype train, and they're getting people to spend way more money, than they're getting back. I mean, it really is, to me, when you look at the higher end boxes, it's the lottery. That's really what you're doing. Whether you're going down to the local, whether you're going down to the local gas station and telling the guy, hey, give me $20 on, Powerball, and just give me, quick pick. You're really doing the exact same thing with sports cards now. Unfortunately,
gambling. I'm in Vegas, and gambling, YouTube, TikTok is huge. I mean, there are people making money on that stuff. But my whole goal is, like, and I think this is important with anybody doing any kind of content, is to be laser focused on what your niche is. And we're all in sports cards, but I would even endeavor to say, like, focus even more. What within sports cards is your thing? And I am dead set on being the bargain bin guy. People are already calling me the bargain bin guy, and that's what I'm going to be. I'm going to be the guy hunting for deals on the cheap, and they can make fun of me for only making $7. I don't care. But that's going to be what I'm known for. And I think it's going to work, because I think for every trend, there's the antithesis. And I think there's a huge demand for relatable sports card content right now. And there is a lot of people doing it, but I think there's more demand than there's people making the content for it, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I mean, and the thing about it is what's cool is that there is that, as you said, there's the delineations that you have. If you want to watch the bargain bin guys, you can, but then you can turn around and you can watch the guy going for the opening up the $5,000 box cards.
Oh yeah.
Or spending the $50,000 at a card show.
I'll watch those
you have
videos
that
too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And I think it's all different parts of the process too, because I think a lot of people will see those 50,000 card videos and they're super entertaining or whatever, but then they'll get frustrated because I can't do that. And I'm one of them. I definitely can't go do that. I can't go risk that kind of money. So I think the relatable card content comes into play, where it shows people how they can get there if that's where they want to go, or how to, Josh Unboxing talks a lot about how he's selling this low end stuff so he can buy grails for himself. And he shows off, I think his last video, he showed some video of, some definitely several $100 cards that he had bought with his profits from selling low end cards. So there's a lot of, I just feel like it's something that, to me, it seems like this is more stable long-term for a lot of people. And I really like to stay away from the speculative angle of cards in general. I think a lot of people get burned speculating. I will go buy a prospect. I just don't want to talk about it anymore. I want to just talk about finding a card that right now has this market price. And that's what it's worth. And then you guys can determine whether, I guess, it'll sell on eBay or not on your own. But at least I can find some sold comps in the last 90 days, or at least what the bottom of the market seems to be at the moment, and go from there.
So you're more, you like living in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s space, and you'll get into the more modern stuff, but that's really like where you seem to be, a lot of your focus is.
Yeah, I mean, that's focus, but I'm excited to get like the new Bowman when it comes out, or I bought opening day, I bought the Topps, and I knew that I needed to go put that Topps 2023 up that night so that I could get $6 for an Adley Rushman rookie card base that was going to be worth $3 in a week. And then now it's worth $2. I don't know what it's worth. You know, there's a lot. I love playing that game but I'm also knowing that I'm not going to buy a box of Topps thinking I'm going to make money. There's always that aspect where you could get the big hit, right? But the way I look at it is I enjoy opening the product. And if I'm good at what I do, I should be able to pay a lot less for it because I can sell everything. So, you know, that's why I like the boxes with a lot of cards, because I'm like, okay, I'm going to sell a lot of this, maybe as low as $1.50 free shipping. But when it's all said and done, my card shop is fairly inexpensive. So whatever it was, $80 for a box of Top Series 1, the regular hobby. And I figure I can make half my money back on a bad box and then maybe a profit if not. So at least allows me to have fun without as much risk. There's some work involved, but I'm going to post cards anyway. So, and I like it. It's cathartic, and it's the same stuff I was doing when I was 7, 8, organizing my cards in teams. It's just the same thing. I get the same joy out of it, the same joy.
Now, you said you were in Utah, you're in Vegas. Different. How is it? Was it? How different is it? Was it the two markets?
Utah surprisingly has a lot more card shows going on than Vegas does right now. Utah had 3 card shows a month when I left, and some months 4. So almost every weekend I could go to a card show, and that wasn't the case until the pandemic. But Vegas is about one every other month on average. But I am close to California, which has a show every weekend. I just don't go down. It's 3.5, 4 hours to get down there from here. I don't do it as much as I should. That's kind of the plan, you know, go down a couple times a month, go to the Burbank card shop, go to whatever show's playing, or go to Frank and Sons or something on a Wednesday when they're open. That's the ultimate goal. And I think now that the card stuff, like I just hit the 1,000 subs, so I'm just barely got monetized. So now that that's a monetized channel, it's a little easier for me to convince Don, like, hey, we should go out. I'll make a little money on the content. We'll go to the bins and I'll do a bins video that'll make some money too on the main channel. And then at least we can get some of our money back for the fun trip, you know.
Well, Anthony used to live out in California.
Oh, really? What part?
Just moved back recently. I was at Burbank like at least once a week, man. It's like Disneyland out there.
It would be such a problem if I lived down there. Burbank, I'd probably just sleep outside. I'd wait for those. I'd just stay at the local cafe and wait for them to post that they have the free boxes of cards in the back, you know, which they do every now and then on their Instagram. I'd be that dude, which it would be the worst use of my time ever. But it would be what I would want to do probably as a 39-year-old man. But
being the worst use, but it'd be a lot of fun.
It would be, you know, and I've lived my life trying to do things the way I want to do it. I mean, I definitely wasn't my plan to be a reseller, but I, you know, it is, once I decided that was an option, it was my plan. We'll put it that way. I didn't realize I could get away with it, and I did. So
it is very liberating knowing that you can live life on your own terms if you're smart about investing your time and treasures wisely.
Anthony's a full-time reseller also.
Yeah, it's not easy even to this day for me, but like I would rather have this than working a 9 to 5. This is a much more open and free life. I enjoy it.
For sure.
Yeah, and now you get to really jump into, you know, something that you really love, because now you're able to, you know, add sports cards to it.
Oh yeah. It's
on a
good.
bigger
I put
scale.
it off for so long. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I put it off for so long. I was unsure how it would work, you know, if I could, because it feels like, especially with TikTok, I kind of had lightning strike, you know, lightning in a bottle or whatever they say. It was just good timing. And then I learned, oh wow, me doing this consistently for 2 or 3 years, I actually learned how to do content okay enough to make another channel work. You know, I'm not as good as other people, but like, oh, okay, the things I learned actually work in other spaces. That's interesting. I found that very surprising to me. I was like, oh, this actually works.
I was gonna say, for anyone watching that is a content creator, what advice would you give them as somebody that's now had 2 successful channels in 2 separate spaces? Like, what would be like?
Oh, number one advice 100% of the time is consistency. Everything that's ever happened good with content for me was because I was consistent. And it's not just because if you're consistent, people will see you. Sure, that's true. But if you're consistent, you learn. If you're consistent, you will be able to make and fix mistakes quicker. If you do a video once every couple weeks, you can't learn from your mistakes because you've already forgotten what you did or what you did wrong or right. You just can't get any momentum. So I did TikTok every day for like 20 months straight. I didn't miss a day ever. And then I got a little bit lazier over time with that. And then when my YouTube on my main channel started picking up, it was because I did 5 months straight of a video every single day. And it was not fun. Like that part was hard. And then with TikTok, and it's just being consistent because you learn how to do the content, and you got to pay attention to what people are enjoying, the videos they like, and what they're not enjoying. You can still be yourself and be creative, but you got to figure out what aspects of what you're doing people dig and what aspects don't work for you. And everybody's a little bit different with that. But I found with like I've had 2 card show videos so far that I've done, and they both done over 10,000 views on YouTube. And I'm doing it a little different than other people. I'm doing it the garage sale way with my GoPro. You know, I'm not doing third person where they see me, which I'd like to do, but everybody's doing that. So I think it might differentiate myself that I'm doing it in a different style, the POV style. I don't know, but it's just there's so many little nuances to content creation. I'm passionate about it, but it's you know, dead space. If you're editing, try to take out everything that doesn't help the story, move it along. And when you're done editing, you know, you have 30 minutes of footage and you're done at 20 minutes, take off another 5 minutes, figure it out. You know, even if you think it's important, take it off, because pacing helps a lot. You want people to stay engaged visually, auditorially, and you know, it's a lot about pacing.
Makes a lot of sense.
Man, you did a video every day for that long. Holy smokes. Wow. That's pretty amazing. That's pretty amazing.
Has it been more difficult to juggle both channels?
A little bit. The good thing is I'm not putting too much pressure on myself for the card channel. Like if I do 1 video a week there, that's the goal. If I can do 2, that's extra. So 1 video a week is no problem. I can film and edit a video in 4 hours or less from start to finish. You know, if I want to go to a card shop, I just got to drive there and back. I film a lot on my phone usually if I want to do a quick video, and I could have it done in 4 hours, if not sooner. But yeah, it's that's what I like about TikToks too. I can edit a TikTok in 5 minutes from start to finish with a voiceover, but that's just from doing it for 3 years. I couldn't at first, and I do it on my phone, but it's a lot quicker than there's a lot of little nerdy details with all that stuff, but I've come up with as many shortcuts as humanly possible to make it quick and easy and painless.
Do you have a favorite platform that you're on as far as like content creation goes?
Nothing's quite like YouTube. YouTube is the one, I mean, if we want to get into like the paying aspect of it, it's the one that's consistent, that will, if you do things right, you will know how to make money, and you will have a way to tell how much you're making. Facebook, I was doing really well with, and I really enjoyed, and they were paying really well, but they just barely cut that off basically randomly because no company knows how to really monetize short form yet. So it's still very, very wild. Like some months you do really well because some deal comes up, and then it goes away and disappears and you have no idea why. So I think anything long form is really good. Facebook is great. I put all my long form videos on Facebook for my main channel. I need to do it for my card channel. I haven't yet. And then
how do you do that? Just out of curiosity, you just upload it like a regular video, or?
So yeah, I had a American Arbitrage Facebook page where I just, like about 2 years ago, I started putting videos on just to test it out, and I got no views. I'm like, okay, this is a waste of time, right? I don't know what I'm doing. I have no clue. I abandoned the channel. I came back like 4 months later, and one of my videos had 200,000 views. And now that one's almost at 800,000. I have no idea why. I spent no money. It was a complete fluke. But once I saw that happen, I'm like, holy crap, this is for real. So I just started posting more. And I just literally post the same exact video with no different edits that I put on YouTube, the same exact video, title, thumbnail, and I post it on my Facebook page. And once you get to 10,000 Facebook followers, you can monetize it. So it's a little bit less than what you make for YouTube per 1,000, but You know, it definitely pays some bills, you know, and that's just, and the cool thing about this is, sorry if we're not talking too much card stuff right now, but the cool thing about Facebook is you can repost videos. So if you have a video that does well, you can post the same exact video with the same exact thumbnail 2 weeks later, a month later. Then you can post it every 2 weeks if you wanted to, and
awesome.
just make money each time. It's weird. I don't understand why they let you do it, but they do. So
interesting.
That is very interesting.
May have to give that a try. I normally will try to share my video on YouTube, but I've never thought of actually just re-uploading it.
Yeah, just re-upload it, and then you have 2 platforms that could, you know, it'll take a little time to be monetized on Facebook. It took me like a year and a half, but once you're monetized, it opens up a lot of things. It's very intriguing. Like Kevin Commonwealth Picker, he has like 400. I have this is what's confusing. Facebook's confusing. I have 2 pages. One's only for the TikTok videos and one's for the long form. But yeah, Kevin on his long form page has like 400,000 followers, and it's a real big moneymaker for him. So there's a lot of possibilities with that stuff. It's kind of fascinating.
That's awesome. I'm gonna definitely have to look into that a little bit more than.
So for the cards,
sorry, go ahead.
No, after you.
No, I was just gonna wrap it up and say I didn't realize that, you know, you could go that far into it.
It's yeah, and I think that's where, you know, where people struggle with a lot of that stuff is because, you know, you some people think you got to do things different in each space, and you really should. I think it's like you were saying, if you're consistent, there are things you could do in each space to keep it kind of the same. I know the difference between long form and short form, but for the most part, you're still doing the basic things in each one of them that should be able to help you.
Yeah,
but
being like
consistent on any of them it doesn't make a difference whether it's long form or short form. Being consistent is
the cool thing is, like, you can make in this modern age, you can make a piece of, you know, like I just went and opened up a box of cards, right? And I made a little TikTok that was 45 seconds. I go put that on TikTok and they'll pay me. And also I'll get views, right? And then I'll put that same exact thing on Instagram Reels. And then they pay as well. And then you put that same exact content on Facebook Reels. And not only do they get the viewing it, but you can get it to where it can monetize as well, which all 3 of those are monetized. And then there's also YouTube Shorts, which just started monetizing 2 months ago. So right now, the same piece of content that I love making, you know, I enjoy this stuff. It's interesting to me. I'm going to open up the box of cards anyway. I might as well spend an extra 20 minutes or 10 minutes or however amount of time I want to take and edit a little video on what I found. And then you could monetize that on 4 different platforms right now. And Pinterest and Snapchat also pay. I haven't figured it out yet, but they do. Oh my goodness. So for the same piece of content, and it's fascinating. And once people kind of unlock that, it makes sports card, you know, the sports card niche is so cool. But hopefully someday, I hope it makes the content makes a decent amount of money where I can just expand. You know, I can go. I'm not going to be the guy who buys slabs, but maybe I'll buy out more boxes at card shows of dollar cards.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll leave with a backpack full of cards.
when you're doing your openings, are you you going getting retail at Walmart or Target? Usually, are you going to card shows and picking up boxes there?
Typically, like I'm buying hobby or retail, typically at the card shop, or I have a pretty good local card shop here in Vegas. If you guys follow C. Blez, his main shop is Legacy in Vegas, and I'm right by Legacy too. So I go Legacy for whatever reason is typically cheaper than the cheapest box on eBay somehow. I'm not sure what kind of deal they have, but they're definitely not price gouging. I love that shop as far as their pricing goes. And then I like to do the Walmart thing too, because I think it's relatable. And that's what I do. I literally am like, it's the joke in my family. Like if my girlfriend needs to go to Walmart to get some food, I'm just like, I'll go with you. I'll help, but I'm not really there to help. I'm there just to get a box of cards. That's all.
Hey, I do that. Oh no, I do that. I'll go with my wife and it'll be like, she's like, I'm gonna go down. All right, I'll catch up with you. I'm just gonna swing by this way for a minute and go by where the cards
I don't even hide it
see.
anymore. She knows exactly what I'm doing. With this
yeah, she knows exactly where I'm going and everything. And I'm like, all right, I'll meet you in the frozen foods.
But I'm telling you, it's easier to work this out when you're doing content and it's somehow monetizable. Even though technically I'm not making enough to even cover my box at this point, but still, I could say, I'm working. This is a tax write-off. this is my
Yep.
job, Dawn. Let me
Yep.
go do my
Yep.
job, you know, and then she'll let me do it.
That's what I do
Somehow
all the time.
I figured out a way to make my hobby my job, thankfully.
Well, I mean, but think about it, right? I'm sure when you go to Burbank, you know, that right, whatever it is, the cost going back and forth. I mean, you're
100%.
buying cards, you're reselling them. I mean, you're not like kind of making it up and kind of making it fit. You're
That's the
actually
thing. Yeah. And this is like, I'm not a tax accountant. You guys should all go talk to your own people, but the
yes.
mileage there and back, hotel, the money I spend, part of my phone bill, you know, because I
Yep.
use my phone to film stuff. I mean, there's a lot of legitimate tax write-offs you can claim if you want to, and perfectly legal, for just doing what I would have done if I wasn't in this business. So.
Yeah, so you go to a a card show, and you say you're going through the, you're going through the dollar bins. You're focusing on what at that point in time?
Whatever deals I can find. You can't go in looking for specific things because those boxes may not give you that. And that's the hard part. I mean, of course, you know, right now I'm pretty hyped up about baseball with the season starting. I would love to find a bunch of, you know, Bowman First Chrome numbered autos in the dollar box, but that's not going to happen. You might occasionally get one, but, you know, there's certain things I'm more interested in at any given moment. And it's been my whole life. Whatever season it is what I'm most interested in. But right now, I mean, the dollar boxes are great for football. Football's kind of has no off season now. People are excited for the draft or whatever. But like, this is the time you might be able to find some deals on those Joe Burrow random cards, you know, low end rookies you might be able to find in the dollar box. But I'm looking for whatever the box is willing to give me, you know, and sometimes that, you know, could be like when I was at the Burbank show, the $2 box, I found a couple Cameron Jordan auto rookies. They're like $15 cards, $20 cards, give or take. You know, that's what I found that day. But you know, if you know enough about players and cards, you can usually at least spot that you need to look it up on eBay. And that's really all you have to do. Just have enough of an alarm bell in your head to go, okay, I should at least set that aside. And when I have a stack and I'm done, I'll go through each one. Sometimes it's obvious, like, you know, you just know from experience, you know, at $2, I'm not going to lose. So I'm just going to get that. I don't need to really think about it, but, and it's a muscle. It's kind of like content creation. If you just go to the bargain bins and just do it consistently, you're just going to notice patterns. And you're selling, hopefully you're posting your stuff and you're selling, you're going to know, I don't know why, but every time I get anything Roberto Clemente, and I'm not talking like the vintage stuff, of course that sells, but if I find Topps archives or just modern stuff and I can get it cheap enough, I know I can sell pretty much any, you know, 2011 Topps archive Roberto Clemente card I come across, for example, quickly, as long as it's priced right. I'm not going to be a millionaire off that stuff, but if I find it at a quarter, I can get $2.50 shipped. I'll make $1.50, $1.75 every time. So you just, it's practice, but that's the fun. I think a lot of us bargain bin people have been a lot of us are the ones who were collecting before the pandemic and collecting as kids. And it's the same stuff I did as a kid. I'm looking through my boxes, seeing what card is hot in the Beckett right now and setting aside my, you know, my Brian Taylor rookies or whatever mistake I made in the early 90s. And you know, that ended up being worthless long term. So
I mean, I started in 1977 is when I started. When I started collecting cards, that was when I started and stuff, and you know, and it was mostly baseball and football, right? It really wasn't not a lot of hockey.
Cards back then? Was it like at gas stations? They didn't really have card shops, did they back then?
No, you would go to the local candy store or stationery shop, and you know, I tell us all the time, everything, you know, it's you know, I see people, you know, you see like card searching, you know, of trying to look through the label and all that kind of stuff. When I went, you know, most of them were all clear packs, and it was funny. When those times, I searched for cards, but the funny thing is this: I was not searching for that rookie or that Hall of Famer, a guy, or a guy who was, the all-star at that time. When we looked and we went, 1977, 1978, you're talking, oh my gosh, Robin Yount, Paul Molitor, those, some of those guys at that point, we would look and go, oh man, I mean, they were rookies. We didn't care, but it was like, I got that card already. Why am I going to spend money when I already have that card and I already have the card on the back? We'd pass on that pack. Or if George, yes, or if George Brett, or pick the star, a star of the 70s, Reggie Jackson, those guys. If they were on the cover, if you could see me, you're like, I got that card already, and we traded all the time. There was never anything about value. It was, we basically, when we opened a pack of cards, there were basically two phrases: got them, need them, because because it was only tops. We only collected tops, so we knew we knew every single card that we had. So it was got them, need them, got them, need them. I'm like, hey, I got these 10. Do you need any of these? And you give it to your friend, and your friend would go, I need these 5. Like, cool. Hey, I got these 10. I only need these 3. All right, cool. I'll take these 3. There was no worrying about, well, hey man, I gave you 10 cards and they have a value of, it was, you need those 10, I need those 5, thanks a lot, and move on.
So when would you, since you've been collecting since 77, when, in my opinion, was it like the Mattingly era when people started to think about maybe getting duplicates of rookies to flip? Because Mattingly was huge in 84, right? Like his rookie cards. And you had Dwight Gooden, Darryl Strawberry, Canseco, one after another.
Yeah. It was about that time when you really started to it was around that time when you did not trade certain doubles unless you had like a lot of them. Like you had to have, like I would normally have to have like 5 or more of a player before, if I pulled one and my buddy went, hey, I don't have that card, be like, yeah, well, you still don't have it. Sorry.
You're not getting it from me. I need 2 of those.
One of those types of deals. But you basically, and then you had like 3 different packs. You had like the wax pack, which had your 10 or something cards, and they were like, I don't know, like 25, 20, about quarter. Then you had a thicker pack, which probably had about 25 to 30 cards, and that was getting up there. That was like 47 cents, 50 cents. And then you had, the rack packs. But they were normally right up by the cash register. You'd go, we'd get on our bikes, we'd go to the candy store, we'd go to the stationery store. It's the only reason why we went there. And we would sit there, and again, literally, like, we would take the box, look through it, and go, all right, well, I don't want these 5 because I know I already have that top card and that bottom card. I don't want to waste my money. I don't want to waste 50 cents on buying that one, even though there might be more good stuff in the middle. And that's really, how it started and everything. But you're right. It wasn't until about 84, you're right around there is when collecting of the hobby kind of took a little bit of a difference, you know what I'm saying, from that type of standpoint.
See, I missed those rack packs. 84 was a great year.
Mattingly, no, Lemieux was 85, but friggin' Michael Jordan, which obviously his rookie didn't come out till 86, but I mean, it was a great year for sports.
I love those stories from the guys who were like talking about how there was just cases of the 86, 87 Fleer that nobody wanted. Everybody, sometimes I think like, okay, 87, I was 4 years old, so I wasn't quite into it yet, but just all the people who were just buying in massive quantities the 87 wood grain Topps baseball, right? The iconically cheap, overproduced set, and just leaving behind the endlessly valuable boxes that they didn't know would be valuable. It's insane for me to think that was and then like, it's not even counting hockey. Like if you would have bought hockey in that era, it would have been amazing. If you would have bought even just 86 football instead, lots of rookies.
I was going to say, yeah, with that, I mean, my gosh, there was so many rookies in the 86 football, but you're right. That's what I was saying. Like we didn't, I mean, and I think most of it honestly had to do was because we were really football and basketball guys. I mean, football and baseball guys, right? We didn't play a lot of basketball. We didn't play a lot of hockey. We always played baseball and we always played football. So that was that was the draw, right? Because it's, oh hey, you're playing stickball, and it's like, I'm gonna make believe I'm Willie Stargell and do the Willie Star, the flip and everything. It's like, so you had that extra special connection.
I would just always I would always hold my bat like this and pretend I was Julio Franco. That was my thing. I always thought it was funny to see how crazy messed up my swing could look, to just exaggerate Julio's swing from back in the day. But yeah, baseball was king. I agree. I mean, I was a teenager in the mid 90s, and that's kind of when it started. The basketball stuff got hot, but like before that, it was all baseball all the time, and then a little bit of football for me, and then basketball was an afterthought for sure.
We got a question for you from your buddy Dom, an awesome member of the card community. Who do you collect, and what are some of your favorite products?
I'm not as much of a collector as I'd like to be. One thing that from reselling, and I mean, I've had stores and I bought out estates. I just have dealt with so much stuff that I kind of get sick of stuff in a lot of ways. But I would say this: if I wasn't a reseller, a flipper in general, I would collect sports cards still. But the people that I do put aside and that I would like to actually get more into collecting, I have that gene. It's kind of hidden a little bit right now. Is I like random stuff. So I was a huge Sharif Abdur-Rahim fan in the 90s. Don't know why. I just thought he was underrated. So I love his cards, and I set those aside. I would love to put together a 96, 97 Skybox autographic basketball set. Would be amazing. Not super expensive. There's only a few really, really big cards in that set. And gosh, and then it's just, with me, it's eras. I moved from California to Utah when I was 10. And that was, I don't know, as a child, traumatic, I guess. So any 94 product I'm very attached to, because I spent a lot of time alone in my room because I didn't have friends at that exact moment, because I was the new kid in town. So any 94 baseball and football product, especially, I'm super attached to. I would open up 94 Donruss or Topps baseball all day. I love that stuff. It's iconic to me. So I have soft spots for a lot of sets. And I would love to collect Utah Jazz stuff a little bit more than I do. That's the only diehard team I have. I'm trying to get into the Raiders, which is hard here in Vegas. I never really cared about them, but I actually have a football team here now, which is tripping me out. I grew up in California when I was little, but I wasn't into football too much when I was really little. And I guess the Raiders were in LA at that time. So I guess the Raiders kind of makes sense, but the Jazz, anything Utah Jazz. And that's a fun one too, with like box breaks. Nobody's picking the Jazz usually for, unless it's like Donovan Mitchell's rookie year or something. So I can get them cheap.
That's awesome.
That's really good.
So as far as the Jazz go, how long have you been following the team, and do you have any like favorite players?
Oh, since their glory days, I moved to Utah in '94. Yeah, I remember I was so hyped up for the second finals that they did. I took my radio, my boombox, to the park, and I was shooting hoops because I couldn't like sit still. Yeah. And I guess I didn't want to sit. And I could obviously watch it on TV, but I couldn't like sit still. So I was so inspired by it that I wanted to be shooting hoops like the players. At the same time, I was getting my heart broken inevitably by the Jazz, which they always tended to do that. But I remember vividly, like I went up to Park City, if you guys know, like where they have the Sundance Film Festival and everything up in the mountains in Utah. That's where the Bulls were staying in '98. I went up there, autograph hound. I went up there to get autographs with somehow. I convinced my dad. I convinced my dad and mom, probably because they wanted to go to like some steakhouse up there. But somehow I convinced them to take me up there. And we were outside of the hotel. I wanted to get autographs. Michael wouldn't come out of his room, which I don't blame him. It would have been pandemonium. I think Scotty was in his room. And then the rest was hilarious. Dennis Rodman is exactly where you thought Dennis Rodman would be. He was literally right by the hotel at a bar, a pool hall, playing pool with Eddie Vedder. And you could look in, and we just were watching him play pool. And I'm like, this is amazing. I couldn't get in. I was like 13. So I couldn't get in to get an autograph. He probably would have blown me off. But Steve Kerr, we found out through the grapevine that Steve Kerr was having food. He was at a restaurant down the street with his family. I walked in like a psychopath into the restaurant. It interrupted him during his dinner. And I have so much respect for this guy, because I would have blown me off. I would have been like, go away, kid. You know what I mean? But no, he signed my card, was super cool. I'm a Utah
Wow.
Jazz kid. I'm sure I had my Utah Jazz gear
The
on.
class of a
He was
Cleveland
super
Cavalier he
cool.
showed you.
Yeah. So he was. I've always been a Steve Kerr fan because of that, because he did not have to be nice to me, and he was, and I got that card, my 96-97 Steve Kerr Fleer card signed by him. So
That's huge.
but I love the
he ended up
Jazz, and
having
they
a huge shot against you too, didn't he? Wasn't that the same
Yeah.
championship?
that was
against
the
you
year
guys?
I think that was the first finals, and then the second finals, Michael aggressively fouled by Brian Russell and got away with it and hit that shot in flu game. So
Yeah.
it's okay. We were going to
Michael
lose.
showed me too in the '90s, man, because I'm a Cavs fan. So like,
you guys
every
had
good
that
team we
Elo
had
shot.
pre-Braun like was murdered by Michael Jordan.
Yeah, you understand the 90s. Michael made every team in the NBA, well, except the ones that were irrelevant, I guess, feel terrible in the 90s. And it's always hard for me because we had that 2-year span, right, in the mid 90s where we could have got it. We probably would have won if we could have just got by the Rockets, and for whatever reason we couldn't for 2 years, and then we did it. But by the time we got better than the Rockets, Michael was back. So
Came back.
Yeah. I was rooting for you guys because I was pissed off about what Michael did to my Cavs.
I appreciate it, man. I'm sure we had a lot of people rooting for us back then. I mean, but it's a constant. We're a small market team, kind of like the Cavs in a way. We just haven't had like a local guy that was just like all worldly be able to come to our team and take us to the promised land. But I was feeling good for a couple years there with Donovan and Rudy Gobert, but we had to start over. So, and I like a lot of the young players we have, and I like what Danny Ainge has done in the past with like the Celtics and stuff. So I got my hopes up. That's the one, like, I will be annoying on Instagram and YouTube about if we start to get good enough to get to the finals and stuff. I will, but outside of that, I wish I cared more about more teams, but that's really the only team. And like college, the University of Utah, which they're solid typically. So
yeah, but honestly, from a reseller's perspective and wanting to make money in this, it's better to not have a favorite team or something along those lines, because what happens is you go, you're more focused on looking in the bargain bin for the cards that are going to make you some money and stuff, rather than every other. Oh, why this? That one's from my collection. That one's from my collection. That one's from my collection and stuff like that. So it definitely makes sense. I mean, it's actually somewhat of an advantage, because as you're going through a dollar box, you're more focused on, you have more of a purpose, where, like when I go, I mean, I look at everything like that. Ooh, a New York Met. I don't know if I have this one or not, but I'm going to put him in my pile, and he's not going to make me any money. He's just going to, go in my New York, in my New York Met stash.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, at least you're not a Yankees fan, so there you go. Go Mets, right? Yeah, there's no way I'd be a Yankees fan if I was from that area. I'd have to be Mets. It's just, it would be too easy to be a Yankees fan. They're too good all the time. It's annoying. And they buy it. That's another team I'm actually pretty big into, is the Oakland A's. And it was, I think there's a couple reasons, like Mark McGuire's from my general area as a kid. And I've talked about this annoyingly on my other channel. Like his dad, Mark McGuire's dad, was my dentist as a kid, which is weird, but he was.
Really?
So I was a Mark McGuire fan, and I think I just liked the colors as a kid. I'm like, we had the Angels and the Dodgers, but I liked the green and yellow. And now there's a very good chance they're moving to Vegas, which would be insane to me, because that's literally the only team I've seen more than a couple times. I've actually gone to Oakland and seen them play, and so that would be pretty awesome. But it does help that I'm not diehard about anything. But as I hopefully grow in this business a little more, I'll actually allow myself to separate some more Utah Jazz and Oakland A's cards than I do right now.
Yeah, I think Big Mac is underrated, man. If it wasn't for them damn steroids, like I still remember, what was it, 1997, when him and Sammy Sosa were going head to head for that home run title.
Yep.
I actually went to, I don't even know if they were at PNC Park yet. They might have still been at Three Rivers. I actually think they were still at Three Rivers. I actually went to the game trying to catch home run balls from Big Mac that year. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, there was a few players that, didn't. Mark kind of needed the steroids because he was so injury prone or whatever, but he was hitting almost 50 home runs when he was a rail thin kid. He had it. King Griffey, who never did it, at least it doesn't seem like he was had the swing. Barry Bonds didn't need it. I mean, it helped him get 70, but he would have got 45, 50 without it, and did, I think, several times. But like, there was definitely, I mean, those guys should be in the Hall of Fame. No, I mean, with hindsight now, decades passing, I think that's obvious, at least to me. But there's certain players you look back at, like from that era, like Brady Anderson had no business hitting 49 home runs ever. And that was because of roids. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, because he was hitting like 12, 13, 14, 12, all of a sudden
those are the
49.
Ones that are
it's like, what the hell?
There's a lot of good YouTube baseball program shows on. I don't know if you guys follow any of them, but there needs to be a video somebody needs to do that has the skill to edit it about all those 1 year, 2 year wonders that, I don't know. I think of like, he was a little bit better, but like, I think of Luis Gonzalez, like randomly hitting a ton of home runs, even though he was a pretty good player in general. There's a lot of those guys that just out of nowhere, you know.
But going back to McGuire, Domi says his USA card is iconic, and it is.
It's absolutely iconic. One of the coolest cards in the history of sports cards.
Awesome card.
And you can get it for cheap now, finally. So I love that stuff too. Like, you can go get all those cards that were on fire at one point. You can go get a tops traded Jose Canseco in a dollar bin. You really could. And that or what was it? The Donruss. One of the two of those was super hot back in the day. And it was like $100 when I still vividly remember I would get a $5 allowance a week from my parents as a little kid. And I would never save my money. I would spend it immediately. I had no self-control. And there was a $6 Cecil Fielder Donruss rookie card every week in the case that I wanted so bad, because Cecil Fielder was hitting 50 home runs for the Tigers or whatever he was doing back then. And I couldn't afford it. They were just great looking home runs. You're right. And I just could never afford it. And now, you find those all the time on eBay or in dollar bins. And there's going to come a time where I want the ultimate 80s baseball rookie binder. And I'm sure I'm going to have the big guys in it, but I also want a Danny Tartable rookie in there. I want Fernando Valenzuela, my favorite player probably all time. So, I mean, I love like the weird guys. Chili Davis, I want his rookie, just random guys from that era. I love.
Well, and that's just it. I mean, as you age up and stuff, I mean, it's a childhood memory. It's a thing. It's the guys that made you, love the game, love the hobby and everything, and, like me, I'm fortunate in that, like guys that I like to collect and everything they're not superstar players. So I don't have to worry. I'm not going to have to really worry too much about having to spend $10, $12, $15,000 to get, my player's, rookie card, because
who are your guys' PC players? Who do you guys really look for?
Me, I look for, so from the older, which to me, it's not considered vintage, but from like guys from the 70s and everything, I'm a Fred Lynn collector. He's my favorite baseball player, of all time. And going through the dollar bin, just to go ahead and say it, when we were at the Nationals, he was at their autograph. He was signing. So I made sure I got one of his tickets. And in Card Collectors 2's dollar bin, there was a numbered Fred Lynn card that I was like, well, here you go. This is the one I'm getting signed. And it was like to 50. And, that's and awesome. That's the card I had him sign. I picked it up for $1 like the day before I went and saw him and everything. And then modern guys would be, like Michael Chavis is probably one of the more, modern guys. And I like, a bunch of the New York Mets players,
I'm more of a Cleveland Cavalier / Pittsburgh Steeler collector. I also collect like Pirates, Penguins, like if I come across it. I'm not the biggest like baseball or hockey fan, but being from Pittsburgh, like I'll collect anything basically Pittsburgh. I also am really big into like LeBron stuff, like as far as like, because like his stuff's not going to go down. Like I have a million like guys like Anderson Varejao that I actually like better than LeBron, but I'm not going to make any money with him long term. That's just because I love
Anderson. But that's one you can find. You can find Anderson Varejao rookie cards in the bargain bin, autos, numbered, all day.
Absolutely.
I do just have to. I have to correct you, Anthony. You're not a Cleveland Cavaliers or Pittsburgh Steelers collector. You're a hoarder.
Pretty much.
Because you
Like, if
will
I were you-
have like the largest collection of like the number 13th player on the Cavs who doesn't even dress
I
anymore.
love that. I love that. I love that. Like,
Yep.
if I was a Cleveland Cavs collector, I would think of those mid 2000 teams that LeBron carried. You know, just a bunch of players who didn't even last after they left the Cleveland Cavs. Like, I would love to get, you know, like autograph Boobie Gibson, or like just whoever they like Zadrunas, but when he was old. You know, like old Zadrunas Ilgauskas when he was still like an all-star somehow. Like, I love those and the Jazz have so many random players like that from the 90s and 2000s. Like, you know,
Is Alkis what was his name?
Ilgauskas. Yeah, Ilgauskas was a player too. That guy fairly underrated. But he was just kind of a big stiff though. We had Greg Ostertag, who's one of my favorite Utah Jazz players of all time.
I remember him, yeah.
Oh, garbage, Mark Eaton.
Mark Eaton, yeah, Mark Eaton was
a mountain. He was but he was a big man.
Yeah, Mark Eaton was like well over 7 foot, if I remember right.
And he was wide though. I mean, he was big man.
Great defensive player, yeah. He was a stud.
Yeah, I mean that's what the hobby's about. I mean, you know, like I said, you know, it's those other ones like you said. You know, I know when I pull an autograph or something like that. I mean, you know, I have not really pulled a big time player's autograph, but hell, when I pull that, you know, I don't know, you know, whatever it may be, you know, Hunter Harvey, you know, relief picture for the Baltimore Orioles, and I pull out a, you know, Topps Chrome autograph. It's like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. How did I pull, you know, I pulled an autograph, man. It was awesome.
I love that. Yeah, I get super stoked, like, especially when I find the guys that were like, I think I was in the dollar bin the other day and I found like a game used football card. It was Achilles Smith, which I think a Bengal guy, you know, number 3 pick out of Oregon. And I just looked at that card and like, I really had to fight myself not to buy it, because it was going to be, that's another PC I want to do, which is nothing but busts. I only want to collect like all the players that I couldn't afford at that moment that were, you know, they were these Zion Williamson of 1998 or 2002 or whatever, but now are completely worthless because they just didn't pan out. But I would love to get nothing but high-end patches or whatever they had at that time, Skybox autographics or rubies, or you can't get the precious metal gem stuff cheap anymore. You could a little while back, but I love that kind of stuff. Just the stuff that was valuable but isn't anymore.
That's awesome. Yeah, I have a few like refractors of like Ryan Leaf and like Jamarcus Russell in my PC, and I have a bunch of like Anthony Bennett because he was a Cav.
Yeah, Anthony Bennett's a great one though. I mean, even at the time, like nobody understood why you guys did that. I mean, he wasn't even the top. There was nobody good in that draft.
Yeah,
I remember like Anthony, like everybody. I think people were saying in the mock drafts he was going to be like 7, 8, 9, 10 somewhere in there, and you guys. That was a terrible draft, and overall, except I think Giannis got picked, but nobody thought he was going to be anything at that moment. So,
it would have been nice. Giannis would have been nice. Oh my god! Hey, to think we could have had Giannis, but we took Anthony Bennett.
Hey, I'm a Jets fan. We could have had Josh Allen.
True, very true.
But Sam Darnold was better. We could have had Justin Fields, you know.
It's just that classic, you know, like, I mean,
Zach Wilson
Josh Allen,
better.
kind of a big arm, you know, kid out of Wyoming, or the USC, you know, prototypical quarterback. Yeah. I mean, I could see why they went after Darnold back then, but yeah, Josh, I was surprised. I didn't think Josh was going to be as good as he is. But I also don't follow as much as I should, to be honest. So I remember thinking Herbert was going to be a bust. I was way off on that. So.
That was one, yeah. And I tell you, that's another guy. Like, there's a guy who, I mean, honest to goodness, I'd hate to have him as a PC, because it would be so hard to get any of his really good stuff. Like, Anthony and I were at the Nationals when they pulled what was his logo shield or NFL shield card at the break, was it, Anthony, when we were at the Nationals Chicago?
Yep.
$250,000
Jeff would have had
$250,000 card right then and there. Boom.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, it was his. I don't know if it was out of Immaculate or one of those, but it was an autograph patch, and it was the NFL, NFL logo. I mean, and they made an announcement over the in the convention center.
My brain couldn't even compute a hit like that. I wouldn't even know what to do. I think if I had it in my hand, the first thing I'd do, 100%, immediately drop it and mess up one of the corners. I know myself. That's exactly what would happen. If I had something that expensive, I'd immediately ruin it somehow.
Yeah, well, it was
with a card like that, even with a ding, it would still sell. But
oh yeah, I mean, it's like I would be afraid. I like you'd have it, and I would just I don't know what I would do. I mean, I would. You'd almost want to leave. Wherever you are, you'd be like, you know what? I think it's time for me to go home. Right? It's time for me to go home. I'm good. I'm just going to go sit in my room for the rest of the time. Right. I'm going to sit in my room for the rest of the time, and I'm just going to order pizza.
That would be the smart play. Yeah.
Do either of you guys have a Grail card you're looking to pick up at any point, or like that you would love to pick up, like if like financially feasible?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't really. I mean, I would love to, like I said, I'd love to have a set of like 96, 97 Skybox autographics. I just think that would just be for young Carey. That would be iconic, just to have in my hands. But gosh, I mean, I don't really have one that I dream about at all. How about you, Michael?
Me, I mean, the only, I would like a low numbered, and I'm wearing his shirt right now for baseball season, number 5, the captain of the Mets, David Wright. I would love a low numbered autograph of his.
There we go.
That's what I would like. And the only reason why I say it because like I have plenty of, Fred Lynn autographs that I've bought, over time and snipe those for, $3-4, on eBay and stuff like that, because not a super duper, but David Wright is one. He still has a big enough following, that his low numbered cards still go for a good, decent amount of money. Like they're not like thousands and thousands, but
Yeah.
About you, Anthony?
The one card I'd really like is kind of expensive. Like I'd like to get a Walt Disney rookie card from like the little tobacco cards that has him like Mickey Mouse on his lap. That's like really the card that I'd like to get, but I think it's like pretty expensive, like in a decent grade. One thing I've really been looking at lately, I don't know if either of you guys have been paying attention to like those Kakawa or whatever the hell they're called, the Disney cards that just came out from China.
Yes, I saw one video
from like $100 to like almost like $700 or $800 a box. It's crazy, and like the singles are like as base Mickey Mouses are going for like $20 to $30. It's wild.
Just give it a couple months, you'll be able to get them cheap. But like, yeah, it's always wild to see that those cards go crazy, and then those look great. I would love to open up a box of that too. I love that stuff. Just Americana pop culture. I love the like the Pop Century stuff. I love all that. Just any kind of card. I don't care. As long as it's interesting.
That's what I like about Leaf. Leaf does a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, I think
they're playing it really smart. They're going after like all these not weird, but all these kind of like interesting people that have people's attention, but you wouldn't necessarily put on cards or like Topps wouldn't figure out anytime. Topps is such a big company, or Panini is such a big company. They can't move fast with these things, but like Leaf is so much smaller than them, but still fairly relevant. They could probably come up with an idea for an autograph card and just within a month have it ready and shipped out in some product or sold on their website. So what's that one they have? The Hezbollah. What's that one guy that I don't know if Panini's doing it. Somebody just
he's going to have a UFC card.
Yeah, see, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. I love that kind of stuff. It's like interesting. That's why I like Ginter. Allen and Ginter always has that just random celebrity or And then, 2 years ago, that was the stuff people were like, okay, guys,
I wouldn't be
the
shocked,
next
Chris.
hot thing is going to be ping pong players. Get this ping pong players rookie card. Grade it quick. Sell it.
Dom's asking what your favorite way to pick up cards is. I'm going to guess the bargain box, but what is your favorite way to pick up cards?
A card show at a bargain box would be my number one way to do it. And in a perfect world, I'd love to buy out complete boxes, which I've done. I've had a couple situations before I was filming where like I've just, talked with people and they're like, fill up a 5-row for $500 or something. And it was all $2 cards. And then I could just get like 1,500 cards for 30 cents a piece. That's my ideal situation is get bulk. And then I'm still working on purchases I made a year or 2 years ago that way. But yeah, definitely the bargain bins. It's just, I don't know if I'm getting old. I'll get worn out at those bargain bins sometimes. Like it's exhausting a lot. Like you're just so in the moment and you get up 2 or 3 hours later and you're like, oh my gosh, I feel like I just played basketball.
You definitely got to have a chair.
Yeah, you definitely got to have a chair. And then, sometimes it's good to just leave for a little bit and go walk around the show and come back, even if you found an area you really like. Or else
it's hard because somebody else may come right behind you, and that
I know that's
that next row that you didn't look at. Damn it! There was that low numbered card that the guy made a mistake on. It's hard to walk away.
It is a terrible. I mean, it is kind of fun talking to people in card with looking through a card box next to you. It is fun a lot of times, but it also is a bad feeling sometimes if they're working the opposite direction of the rows of boxes and you're going that way. And then, like they're going to beat you to the center row that you're trying to get to. So sometimes it's best just to go to the one next to them and then start working back again. There's some strategy in it, but Burbank does really good. Like the Burbank card shows, they do really good putting some good value in there. And I know they're intentionally putting some stuff in there, like kind of Easter eggs, which I think a good dealer does. Not saying that they should give cards away, but like I think it's smart because it gets people hunting and picking, and they're going to pick up all the Mets cards they see and pay $1 for a 50-cent card because they love Mets or Jazz. So they'll make the money on the other end. And they'll have people at their booth, which is cool.
Well, not only that, but you think about it from a standpoint, just the word of mouth part, right? If you go in there, you're sitting there and you're like, where'd you get those? Oh man, I was over at that table there. They got great deals, and they got some good cards in their bargain bins, and boom. Because I think we have to realize a bunch of stuff is that what I would be curious about is this: when you went to Burbank, how many people were there were like you that were really not necessarily collectors, but were looking for cards to be flipped? Because that's the other thing. Don't forget, because the guy standing next to you, he may not be. He may pass that, Ferguson low number card because he's not looking for that because he's not a fan, right? He's not a collector of that team.
That's a good question.
Wonder, that's interesting.
I feel like LA in general is going to be. This could be just my thought and just a guess. I feel like there's a lot more. I would feel like there would be a lot more flippers there than like a Ohio show or something. Just because I don't know. That's the vibe I get. There was a lot of people selling at Burbank, honestly, during that card show because they were set up to intake as many cards as people were willing to bring them. There was a line of people selling off whatever they wanted. So there was definitely a lot of selling, but obviously those people were going and spending the money a lot of times back in the show. But I don't know. Yeah, I just know. Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not sure how many of the people were collectors. I feel like my thought is, if we're honest, most people are flippers to some degree. Like, you're going through that dollar box, you find a $20 card. Most people are buying and selling on eBay to some degree. So you might pick that up and flip it, maybe just so you have an extra $20 to get cards to collect. But, so I still think most people are looking for stuff to flip, but there's definitely people who there's kind of like some sort of line between flipper and collector. I'm definitely super far on the flipper side. But there's people, in between, and there's people all the way on the collector side. But I think most people to some degree are flipping or collecting. I would not be a card flipper if I didn't love cards, because people ask me that all the time. I get people on my other channel going, I just don't get cards. I know they're worth money, or like, is this 1991 Topps card worth anything? And I tell them no. unless it's desert shielded, and that's too much detail. But the thing is, like, you as a garage sale flipper, don't look at cards, because you have to have a lot of patience and be really into it. It's like one of the most tedious things to learn. Like, I'd say it's probably more tedious than learning records, than learning other things. So the only way I would do that is if you love sports. But most people who already love sports probably have dabbled in sports cards to some degree at some point in their life. So it's definitely a hard thing to get into if you don't have interest in it already.
But I think the difference you have, though, as you think about it, is like when you are looking for your other reselling stuff, and it's the same, but it's different, right? You look at brands, right?
Yeah.
Where when you're a sports card guy, you don't look at a brand, you look at a player. So the player is the brand. So if you don't know the player, you don't necessarily know the value, right? Whereas brands that if you walk up to somebody's garage sale and they have clothes hanging, you're, a clothes reseller, and all of a sudden, you're seeing, the brands, the big brands, you're going, man, I'll take that, right? It's kind of like the same thing with us when we sit in a dollar bin and you're going, oh, wow. LeBron James. Oh, Giannis. Oh, Nolan Ryan. Oh, this hockey player, Mario Lemieux, Crosby, football player. Oh, look, Montana, Rice, Bradshaw. I'm going to take, so it's kind of the same thing. It's just the problem. It's just that the thing is with there being so many different sports and there being so many different stars, it's easy, if you don't know, to go past a star in a dollar, if you don't know.
Yeah, hockey and soccer, if you're not initiated, is a tricky one. That's why I've enjoyed getting into soccer, because I knew so little, and that was exciting to me. It's like, I know who Messi is and Mbappe and everybody they've been talking about, but I didn't know about this player on Chelsea or this player on Bayern Munich or whatever. And that's a fun part. And I think you have to be interested in learning to be good at this as well. But there's so much nuance to sports cards. Like, that's the first step I tell people is like, I think I was talking to somebody, because I get hit up in the DMs a lot about stuff to look for. And they're like, I got a bunch of cards, how do I know what's worth something? And I'm like, well, I have to be very vague. I'm like, look for stuff that's shiny, look for big stars, look for something that has an autograph on it, And then somebody responded, what's a big star? I'm like, well, we're going to have a lot to work on if you don't even know who the stars are, which is okay. If you really want to learn, you can. But it's tough, and there's so much nuance to it, because you could be in a dollar bin, and there's a big difference between a base Giannis Donruss card and a Prism Silver. And then what year is that Prism Silver? Is it like his first year is obviously a rookie, or is it his second or third year? Could be worth some money, but one that just came out 2 years ago might not be worth anything. But if Prism just came out onto the shelves last week and it's already in the dollar box, and it's a Prism Silver base of Giannis, but it just came out 3-4 days ago, I'd pick that up, because the market could be really hot on that. So that's what I love about cards. There's so much nuance, and it's day to day. Like, one of my favorite things to do is, like, for the Super Bowl, I try to get as many cards in dollar bins or cheap buys that I can of the players that are in the game. And then sometimes during the game, you could take you can take a card down and just make up, a reasonable price. Take a $5 card and put it up to $8 because he just scored a touchdown, or just got an interception, or the kicker just hit a field goal to go ahead. I made a lot of money on Evan McPherson last year for the Bengals.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm sure you would.
Field goals in that championship game. And I was picking them up that weekend in the quarter box. Yep. So, I mean, there's a lot of nuance to it. And I think that's the fun part of it. It's, like I said, like that quarter to $10 sale was more exciting than like a $200 DVD player or whatever I sold. It's just more interesting.
And it's funny you were talking about it, like this weekend, and a lot of people aren't into it, but this weekend is WrestleMania weekend is coming up. So I'm starting to look at my wrestling cards to go ahead and get them, online and stuff, because it's
I did not realize that, and I'm going to do the same thing now. Thank you.
Yeah,
I didn't realize
it's a huge weekend. They have the like the Hall of Fame stuff. I believe happens Friday. They have NXT pay-per-view Saturday afternoon, and then they have night 1 on Saturday night. Then they have night 2 on Sunday night. So I mean, it's definitely going to be one of those type of deals where it's potentially a good market. People are going to be looking maybe, see what happens.
Yep. Definitely be a great time to get some wrestling stuff listed. I've been selling through like even more wrestling stuff just this week, like Rey Mysterio. I just sold an auto of his just it was yesterday, but I got paid for it today.
Yep.
He's getting inducted in the Hall of Fame just this weekend.
And he's going to beat up his son.
Yeah.
Who's his son?
I actually think he's going to put his son over.
Dominic Mysterio is his son. They're having a match at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
See, I only vaguely follow it. Like I knew Logan Paul got involved. That's about as I've been following it. It's not new.
He's wrestling. He's wrestling again this weekend.
Yep.
He's back.
I can only imagine they haven't done. Has there been any WWE releases with Logan Paul in it yet? I don't even know if he has to probably sign a separate contract to even be in the product. I bet, but I can imagine those cards being huge.
Oh my goodness gracious!
I don't know.
That's a bigger market too. I mean, not only do you have your wrestling fans, not only do you have your sports cards fans, but then you have your whole social media people that follow him. Oh my gosh, you have to get a Logan Paul card.
I think he has some Leaf autographs or something random like that, but that could be a big deal. I know I would try to pick some stuff up to flip for sure if he had some stuff out.
Yeah, he was Center Hill. He went ahead and Dominic was saying stuff, and then last weekend, I think when they were in Las Vegas, actually, I think they were in Vegas there not too long ago.
That's something I've been wanting to do. I definitely want to hit up a UFC fight out here because I've lived here a year, and then WWE. I know they've had a couple different events in the year that I've been here, and I haven't been to a WWE thing since the Attitude Era, since like 99, 2000.
Oh boy, yeah. A little different now.
Oh yeah, I like it. I like all that stuff. I mean,
they won't
my
be
golden
like,
era. See,
this
is how old I am with this kind of stuff. Like I actually didn't realize that Razor Ramon was Scott Hall. I always just thought it was Razor Ramon because I was huge into WWE like 92, 93, that era. So it was Razor Ramon. And then I did realize that the 1-2-3 kid was X-Pac. I did know that much.
Yeah.
But like to me, they're always the guys they were before that era. That was just my favorite time for wrestling. But
Diesel, Vinny Vegas was Kevin Nash.
Yeah. See,
Dr. Isaac Yankem.
Kane was Dr. Isaac Yankem. Mike Rotunda had all the Mike Rotunda, Irwin IRS, Irwin R. Shyster.
Yes, IRS. I remember IRS really well. Yeah, that was classic, iconic era for me. I think of Shawn Michaels. I mean, I don't remember. I mean, he's a big guy, but I always think of Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty, the Rockers, when I think of Shawn Michaels, not the Heartbreak Kid or the late 90s or, even the stuff he's been wrestling. I mean, he's retired now, but he was wrestling forever.
Yeah.
I think of WCW Sting and not like, him as he got older. So
Ric Flair.
Dom was asking if we're going to give any WrestleMania picks. I actually just on Sunday I was on Blaze McCoy's channel, and I actually just did WrestleMania picks with him. I would imagine since we have a guest right now, probably not get fully into it, but I think it's going to be a really good card.
About whatever.
Is there a match you're most excited for this weekend, Michael?
I am excited to see two matches because I'm excited to see what they do for the future, and that is going to be Roman Reigns against Cody Rhodes and the Usos against Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Because I wonder, because to me it's going to be interesting to see where they take the bloodline, faction. Depends on what happens with those two matches and everything. The one I'm looking forward to the least is the John Cena Austin Theory, because I just cannot believe that John Cena is going to do a job for Austin Theory, and I hate that because I can't stand Austin Theory.
Gotcha.
Even though he's from A-Town down where I am. How about you?
I would say one I'm probably most excited for is probably the Charlotte versus Rhea Ripley. Just because Charlotte's my favorite, but yeah, I mean those two matches you mentioned are really going to shape a good bit of what happens this next year. You know, especially with basically all of the non-women's titles being held by the Bloodline over the last year plus.
And he's going to WrestleMania.
Oh, really?
Anthony is. Yeah.
Dude.
Yep.
That's awesome. Where's it at?
It's in Los Angeles this year.
So he'll be going to Burbank Cards too.
Well, you should, man. That's awesome.
He's going to try and come home with at least 1 2-row box.
That's the goal. Can't go to Burbank without coming home with some cards.
It's impossible not to.
Yeah, I but it's funny. Remember you were talking before about the dollar bins, and you go there and you don't look, and you don't know what to expect and all the other kind of stuff. But it was funny when you said that. Anthony came. I'm in Atlanta. Anthony came down to Atlanta, and we went to Culture Collision, which is a very interesting show. It's there are people selling sneakers and people selling soap
Funko
shaped
Pops
like sneakers and Funko Pops and all that kind of stuff, and the cards and everything. And I went through the the bargain bins looking for those bargains and stuff. And I got to tell you, I pulled a whole bunch of Mahomes, Trevor Lawrence, Burrow, Tom Brady inserts that were in dollar boxes that I wasn't expecting. I'm like, okay, how do I take a donut, Tom Brady card, from Prism and not buy it for $1? It's like like that doesn't make any sense to keep that one there. I'll take that one. Thank you very much. I have I found 10 or 15, and they were in the dollar bins of the Shohei Ohtani Cup card.
Mm-hmm.
Some of him pitching and some of him batting.
Yeah, that's insane.
And I was like,
that's what I love. Like a lot of those dealers, they're just so focused on the high end, they totally devalue that stuff. And true, it's not anywhere near the money that those big hit cards are. But like you can get so many. I mean, $4, $5, $6, $8 cards in the dollar bin all day. And it's just, sometimes it's just how much do you want to spend, because there's plenty of inventory available. And then like you use something like a Card Dealer Pro or something, you can, and even with the modern stuff, even though it's a little trickier, you can get that stuff up super quick and move on and really make it a viable part of a business where you hopefully, I still want to sell higher end stuff when I can get it at a good price, but really the engine of my card store and what I want it to be is just going to be this low end stuff. I keep thinking I'm obviously not going to have the amount of people working with me like Burbank has, but I think I did the tour with him there at the shop when I went down there. I did a video on it and everything. And his average, I think he said his average sales price was like $4.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane. But like they sell so much and then you're getting that stuff for pennies on the dollar. I'm sure a lot of the times that stuff is given to them because people don't want to deal with it and it's just junk to them. But, and they're making a profit running their business just off that low end stuff. It's insane.
Whenever I used to live down there, I used to basically save up like a lot of the stuff that I'd get in packs, like just low end rookies or colored cards or like numbered cards or stuff like that. And I'd go there like once a month and like trade it for like a graded LeBron card or something like that. You know what I mean? Just to like get rid of stuff that I wasn't going to deal with. It was all like stuff that might have been like $1, like stuff that wasn't like super desirable. This is before I was like really trying to list everything to eBay too. But
well, that works just as well though.
Basically, Coinstar with all my cards.
Yeah, but you still got something out of that low end stuff, and a lot of people, I guess, the people selling the cards for $1 are getting something out of it too. I guess, but when I don't know. Yeah, I just can't. I'm never going to be the person that you would put a donut Prism Tom Brady in a dollar box when I know. Gosh, I don't even know offhand. $8, $10, $12 card, maybe more. I don't know what that is depending on the year, but I mean and it'll sell right away too. It's not like a random player nobody's going to be interested in for the next 6 months. It's one of the hottest players in all of sports. So
I picked up one of the Mahomes I picked up. I sold for like $16. There was two Burrows that I sold each one of those for like $23, $24.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And it was And it was like unexpected because I'm not expecting to see that. And all of a sudden, I'm like, oh my goodness. Yeah, okay, thank you. I'll put this in my pile. Here you go. And then I actually even got a better deal on it because I gave the guy a stack probably of like 30 cards, and he's like, I don't know, $20. So I didn't even I got him for even less than $1.
They'll do that all the time. Like I was at a Dark Side LV, another card shop here in Vegas, where I went through their dollar box. I think I pulled out $40 worth of cards. They gave it to me for 30. Yeah. I knew they would give me a deal. I didn't ask. I just know from working with them before they do that. But $40 was a great deal. So $30 was an amazing deal for what I got. A couple cards will pay it for everything, and then the rest is just profit. So, and it's fun. Yep. That's the main thing. It's cool to be able to do this, full time. And part of that is, the content creation makes money. It allows me to probably build this and take time building the low end stuff. Because if I had to only rely on this right at this moment, it would be tough. I'd have to focus on other things too. But
of course,
my goal is hopefully to get like Bo, at 1 Million Cubs Project. Some of these guys that have massive low end card shops, because I don't know why. Seems very interesting to me.
I mean, it's amazing. Sometimes like he'll do it like, yeah, had 265 sales over the weekend, and it's like, holy crap.
Yeah.
Oh
I'm just fascinated by that demand because it's just there. I think I was showing Dawn the other day, my girlfriend, just like some random player. Like I was a $1.50 card that like I wouldn't think would be worth anything, and then somebody's paying because maybe the card's always been worth $1.50, but now there's a way with eBay standard envelope to actually make a little bit of money on those cards,
exactly
30 cents, 40 cents, depending on what you're paying for your top loaders. And then you could just move that stuff. And then that opens up everything, every box now that you buy, or it makes it easier to make money doing this.
Yep. Well, and I watched another thing. When I bought a lot of those cards that I bought, they were actually in top loaders also.
Yeah. When you're doing like this low end card flipping, you actually have to start thinking about that. Like that's whatever it is, depending on if you're buying in bulk or not, 12 cents in value, 25 cents in value.
I was like, man, I'm like, damn, that's even pretty darn good. But I think
so that's no longer a dollar card. That's a 80 something cent card, and you're getting the top loader. So yeah.
Yeah. And I think you're right. The eBay standard envelope has definitely changed the game. It has.
Yeah, it really has. And it's kind of cool to me too. And that's why I really like focusing on in my channel, but I feel like it's gonna always be viable. I don't think I think people find it interesting to look at these bargain bin finds and stuff, but I don't think there's ever gonna be a ton of competition with, at least not anytime soon with people, just wanting to put up $1.50 cards. Cause I mean, I try to avoid putting up only $1.50 cards, but that's like the low end of what I will put up. And I feel like there's overall not a ton of competition for that kind of stuff if you're willing to do it at scale, because a lot of people just don't want to, and I don't blame them, but I'm a sucker for punishment,
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wonder if, as Fanatics gets into it more, if they, there's all talk about them coming up with their own marketplace too. That if they're able to get something like that, does it? I don't know. It doesn't necessarily change the game. It just makes it more for, another platform for us to go ahead and sell on. And now you just have, it's going to be harder because
the second Fanatics has a viable platform that people are actually making money on, I will be there. It's all about, in this business, it's all about adaptation, and it's all about going with the times. It's what it's always been about. And if you're willing to be on that bleeding edge of whatever's changing, occasionally it doesn't work out, but if it does work out, you could win really big. I mean, that's really what happened with me and TikTok. I just was one of the first people to really do the thrifting content 3 years ago. There was maybe 7 of us doing it regularly at that time. There wasn't a lot of people. And, I focused on it, and a lot of other people did, and they grew their accounts as well. But it was about timing a little bit. And I think like the second eBay Live is available to sell sports cards on, I'm there in a second. I'll still use Whatnot, but I'm going to be, and if I got to lose money for weeks, I will, just to get my foot in the door on something I think that has promise. So
that's what.
And then you gain that following, right? It's about gaining a following is what it is.
Oh yeah, and that's one thing that I think people don't realize is like there's a couple things with like eBay Live, the potential that it could have if they figure it out. First off, just imagine this. I have 4,000 cards on eBay. Flipping Sports Guy, you have 8,500 listings right now. Why couldn't you just go live right now on eBay like we are right now and just be like, guys, go check out. You got your cards organized in section. Oh, we got a Chicago Cubs guy in here. I got 1,500 Cubs cards. Who's your player? Oh, you like Chris Bryant from a couple years ago. I got 50 cards. We'll start them at $1 a piece or whatever. Let's go, plus shipping or whatever. And then you just start running. And you would have so much power because you have it all databased already in your listings, which would be huge. Whatnot would like to do that, but people aren't really posting that way yet on Whatnot. It may happen. People aren't posting that way on Whatnot right now because people aren't buying now. They're only buying on auctions. That could change with time. But yeah, that would be massive. And then growing your eBay, like my eBay store has grown through having a following on social media, but it doesn't mean a lot because I'm not socially interacting with people on eBay really. But if you had lives, you would be socially interacting with people and people would be like,
yeah, that's true.
I got to go check out Michael who's going to go live on eBay on Wednesdays. And maybe he's going to be doing, blowing out a certain type of card this weekend or whatever this week. And then I'm going to go check it out. And I love his lives. And then, lives are really popular once you can tie in the opportunity to make some money, like with Whatnot. It really is like you get a following, but that following is not only following you because they like you, but also following you because they buy and they're looking for product. It's kind of game changing.
Can you bulk list on Whatnot?
I think so. I think you can use like a CVS, whatever they call it, file and upload everything.
Yeah,
and that's what I probably should try to do that. I think I use List Perfectly, which all just total transparency. I have like an affiliate link with them and everything. So, but I do use them, and I think I could even do that, use List Perfectly, and then make it into a CVS file and put it onto Whatnot, like whatever listings I want. So I just don't know how to do it 100%. I haven't tried it yet, but yeah, you can do that.
Out of curiosity,
but I think there's some power in that. Sorry, go ahead.
Out of curiosity, I this is just a question that's been lingering in my head for a while since we talked about it earlier. You'd mentioned that you used Card Dealer Pro. Is there a certain like membership level that you're on, like being that you're not using the scanner yet?
I just buy it's 500 listings for $9.99 a month, and then when I run out, I just buy another whatever it is, 1,000 or for $20, and I just keep buying as needed. So there's I think you could be at whatever level you want a month, and it costs $20, $30, $40 a month, but I just usually just buy one and then up get the next level when I need it. I don't know. I think I wish it was a little more streamlined. I think they could figure that out over time, but
without already the scanner, what's the easiest way to use it?
Without the scanner, I am literally, so I've noticed with like Card Dealer Pro, I have to take photos of cards sideways because it always flips them when I upload them onto eBay. So I just put my cards like this horizontal, and then I just take a picture, move it. It's annoying, but I've been doing listings like that forever. And I could use a flatbed. I have a flatbed, but it's probably would take me more time. And then we typically do like 40, 50 at a time, but sometimes I'll try a little bigger chunk, 100, 150 at a time. But ideally I would save a bit of time using a card feeder scanner.
Cool. Yeah.
I still think it's worth it. If you're willing to do, I think anything more than about 20 listings a day, I think it makes sense because I could sit and take an hour, or if I did some sort of template on eBay, I could make a template and probably list a good 20 cards easily in an hour. But I think if you want to do more than that, you could take 100, or let's just say 50 pictures in 10 minutes or less, and then you upload it. And even with having to fix some stuff, you could get those 50 cards up in an hour, if you're focused. And then that makes sense. You're going to start being able to get a lot more done with the same amount of time.
And the difference is you're having to take, if you're doing 50 cards, you're really taking 100 pictures because you're taking front and back. Whereas if you drop them into a scanner, those 50, it does it all in one shot for you.
That's true. What I've done to get around that is I just haven't been taking pictures of the back of my cards because I'm not bothering. I'm not having any issues with that, even with numbered cards. I'm also not posting expensive cards that I think are where people are worried about grading. You know what I mean? Right. I don't know if anybody wants to grade a 89 Ozzie Smith Topps card, but if they do, I guess they could ask me and I'll go ahead and go take a picture of the back and upload it if they really want to know. But yeah, I did do that at first, and it will take front and back. So I've just been doing that to save time. You could just do the double the pictures and send them, and it will upload it fine on Card Dealer Pro. But when it's a scanner, when I have my card feeder, it will be front and back. Because it'll do it easily.
So with the number of cards that you have, what kind of filing system do you have for those?
Just alphabetical by sport. So I have like a box or two for baseball, a box or two for football, and then I just file it. See, before I had no system. It was terrible, but I stopped doing the shipping. I have my stepdaughter and her boyfriend handle the shipping now. So I had to alphabetize it so they could find everything. So if it's a Ryan Leaf card, which I've sold several in the last 6 months, it'll just be under R in football, and then they know how to ship it. Almost everything is standard envelope. Almost everything's under $20 that I sell, and then they'll ship that along with whatever random action figure or shirt or electronic I sold that day. So. But yeah, it's definitely not as intense as like a Burbank. I'm sure you guys have seen the back rooms at Burbank. It's insane.
Yeah. Yeah. I stole Bo's inventory system that he does, which is so he's not worrying about doing, he takes his stack of cards, and what I do is basically I take my stack of cards, and if it's going to be 50 cards, and I have 4-row boxes. So I have box 1, row 2, row 3, row 4, and then I have section A, B, C, D, whatever it may be, and I just separate them by cardboard. So then in my custom SKU, I just put like B1, R1, SC. So that's in box 1, row 1, section C. And if I have to look through, I'm only looking through 50, 75 cards in that section.
Yeah, that definitely works. That's a good way to do it as well.
Just good, because I started to do like the whole thing of by sport and by sport, by year, by by card, whichever one it was, Donruss. So then I was like, man, it's a pain in the ass. For me,
it's a little bit. It does take a little bit more time. I'm trying to make it as easy for the kids as possible. But like the cool thing about doing it the alphabetical, you start to realize like. There's a lot of J names out there in sports, for example. Like every sport, there's a lot of Jadens, a lot of Jalen's. It's interesting. Like you start to see which kind of names are more popular because I'm alphabetizing everything. But I mean, I don't know. Once I get to 10,000, I might have to change it up a little bit. But the best thing too, I mean, I'm coming from, I have up here totes of clothing and stuff. That might be 100, 200 listings, and then I've got 3,000 listings plus right there and on just one shelf basically. Yeah. That's the cool thing about cards is I could, if I filled up all those shelves, I'd have 30,000, 40,000 listings without taking up hardly any space. And that's another big thing is like I've come from having 10 by 40 storage units, a 3,000 square foot store filled with stuff, big stuff, furniture that we were flipping, and cards is appealing in the sense that it's easy to ship, easy to store. And I enjoy it, thankfully.
That's one of the things that I'm doing. I'm slowly, unless, like I'll do certain collectibles or certain, things, but I've already, have decided, that as I move forward, with reselling, that it's going to be more along the lines of cards or DVDs or CDs, those action figures too, every now and again, but the special, like, not just any action figure, but, those types of things. But I'm going to get away from doing a lot of, the coffee mugs and glasses and a lot of the, some of the other stuff, the home goods, stuff like that.
I hear you. We kind of like this summer is probably the first summer where it's going to be totally different for me. eBay is going to be 95% cards, and then stuff that's like over about $20, $15 or $20 on in general. And then everything else is going on Whatnot. Like I go to the bins a lot and I'll find, just like a Guns N' Roses shirt, not vintage, but a newer one. I put that on Whatnot. That gets me $5-6 a lot of the time. And I pay 50 cents for it. And then I do 100, 200 items in a show. And then I could, make $300 or $400, $500. And then sometimes we find better stuff. So you make more. And the Whatnot's changed the game in a lot of ways for how you flip and how you can resell.
In regards to Whatnot, can you get on there and sell in any category and still get like a decent number of people tune in? Like, for example, like if you were to go on there one day, do cards, one day do t-shirts, another day do like Funko Pops.
It varies. Like I do my main auction, which is like generic garage sale stuff, I guess you'd say, or like a flea market in the estate sale category. And I'll have 60 to 100 people live with me. And I did like a single card show and I had like 20 people. So I don't have nobody. I don't have it's definitely a different crowd. That's part of why I wanted to work on this card channel. Cause I think as it grows, it'll be a totally separate group of people that will join me. And then it can make it a lot more viable. I'm not looking to get rich off these cards, but if I can go to the dollar box and know that, these cards will at least make me 3 or 4, then I could just buy and buy and buy and buy. And then I could really make this a thing where I could I'd love to do shows every day, maybe 100 cards. It's typically 10 or 11 people buying all those cards. So it's 10 or 11 packages, but I could make $300, $400, $500 a day that way. It's fun. It's interesting. And it at least give me some diversification. If eBay slows down, I can focus on that. If Whatnot slows down, I can focus on eBay. I don't have to rely on one spot to make the money.
But the point you make is great because you could literally Saturday morning, if there's a card show in your area, you could literally go there from 8 to 2, find a whole bunch of stuff, and then later on that night, have a Whatnot show.
That's exactly what I'm going to do. And once you get to 1,000,
and you've already flipped that inventory that fast, rather than an eBay of waiting, longer for it.
So I think we've sold like about 15,000 items in about a year and a half, almost more than we've sold on eBay in 10 years items. And some of those are lots. And once you get to 1,000 sales, you get instant payout. So you click print your labels or whatever, and you could have your money after the auction within an hour, give or take, from PayPal.
Oh, wow.
So like what I plan on doing like this weekend is going to the Mint. I'm going to go through the bargain bins. I'll maybe do a short or something on it, do a couple Instagram stories. And that night I'm going to sell 80% of what I get. I'll probably separate some stuff for eBay. And then I should hopefully double my money maybe. And then I'll have 20 cards I can put on eBay. And then I'll take that money that I made and then I'll go to the Mint the next day maybe and do it again. So basically I can instantly make a profit if I'm picking correctly. And then maybe add some of the bulk that I have in some of the lots that I'm selling. And then come out of Mint making a couple $100 immediately and having a stack of 40 or 50 cards for free. That will go on eBay. Or that may end up going on Whatnot in a month or 2 if they don't sell. So it's pretty fun.
A lot of sense.
Wow. That's
I've always thought that way doing resale. I go to auctions and like I would buy three keyboards, or I'd buy 3 like wireless headsets for gaming, and I'd sell 2 of them and keep one. But I'd buy them at the price to where after I sold 2, I broke even, and then I got the other headset for free. I do stuff like that all the time. I'm like, I'll sell 2 or 3 of these, and then I'll keep one for myself, and then I get it for free. I guess there's work involved, so it's not free, but at least there's no cash out of pocket.
I do that with like a lot of the collection that I've built. Like I'll go and if I'm, for example, like I bought a Kenny Pickett auto the other day when I was at a card show, but I made sure, okay, if I'm going to buy the Kenny Pickett, I have to make X, Y, and Z before I'll let myself buy it, so I'll try to do that as well.
Well, you could anytime you do like a bigger purchase and stuff, like say you're buying a bunch of slabs or you're buying a box of cards, like you could always there's so many ways to do it. Like you could be buying, you talk them down a little bit in the money and they'd be like, hey, throw in this graded, Anderson Varejao or something and then you're just getting those for free a lot of times. Cause they're like, I don't care about that. Yeah. Sure. $10, $15, $20 card, but I don't care. So there's a lot of ways you can do that, build your PC just through negotiating tactics, basically. Because, you know, if it's going to stop somebody from spending $300-400, you know, and, you know, because you don't give them a $10, $15, $20 card, most people won't do that and they'll just give it to you. So
that's very cool. Very cool. Very cool. Well, my goodness gracious, Anthony, we've done it again. I mean, another 2 hours. Holy
there you go, man. You're a good one. Went by fast.
Unbelievable. I you know, thank you so much.
Yeah,
you know,
thank you very much,
Terry. I don't want to take more of your time. I appreciate, you know, you coming on with us. You know, it's again, you know, oh, I've known about you for a long time. I've caught episodes of, you know, the Trash to Cash podcast, and, you know, watching some of your stuff, and you know, the regular stuff. And then when I saw your cards, I was like, American Arbitrage cards. At first, I was like, who the hell stole freaking Kerry's name? when I saw,
it doesn't really roll off the tongue very well either. But I was trying to figure out how to like still keep my brand, but like I'm like, I just put that at the end of the name. I don't know.
That's what I was saying. I was like, what the hell? I'm like, oh, did he change? No, wait a minute. I better double check. And I was like, nope, he still has the other one. I was like, oh my gosh, you know. So I'm glad, you know, you came on. You know, thank you so much again. You know,
I'm excited. No, thank you. I'm excited to meet more people in this community. It's adjacent to what I do, but I feel like we're all pretty similar. What we do in my main channel and what we do here, most of us are flipping, and it's just a niche within what I already do, and it's my favorite part of it. So I'm excited that I can actually meet people who will nerd out with me over this stuff and not just get bored when I talk about it, which happens on the other channel a lot.
Well, hey, you know, if you're ever not busy on a Wednesday night, you got nothing to do, you could always reach out to us.
Hit me up, man. Hit me up when you need me on again. I'm always happy to come on and chat. It's fun. I love talking cards. I'll do it till I pass out. Usually, I love cards.
Well, cool. So any closing words, Kerry?
Nah, I mean, if you guys haven't subbed to American Arbitrage Cards, you know, you can consider it. It might not be the best decision, but you guys can do that if you like. And yeah, I'm excited to be here, and I love talking cards, and I appreciate the fun discussion we had on various aspects of it, and just thank you guys for having me in the hospitality.
You're very welcome.
Thanks for coming on, brother.
Thank you for sharing your experience and the knowledge and stuff, and just the, you know, the advice and everything. It really does, you know, it means a lot. I mean, it may not seem like it, but it does mean a lot, you know, because a lot of, you know, there are a lot of people who, you know, there are certain things they don't, you know, openly want to talk about, and it's great, you know, when people will just say, hey, no, this is what you got to do. This is how you do it. Not
I get like that though. Yeah, sometimes it's hard to do that because you're afraid that you're gonna upset people. Like, because I'll talk too much, and I mean, not everybody is interested in what I'm talking about. So I'm glad that I hope we can help a little bit, and you guys, we can all help each other. We all have different things we're good at it for sure.
Yep.
I need help with a lot of the sports collecting stuff. I need to probably not sell more cards that are $100 than $1.50, but this just seems to be my thing. The cheap cards, I love them.
Hey. Anthony, what about you, man? What do you got going on?
Well, getting ready to head out to LA here next couple days, so we'll definitely be having some stuff on the channel, different card videos and stuff like that. We've got some pack openings, another PSA reveal getting ready to drop as well. But I will probably do some live streams next week, either potentially from WrestleMania or from like Universal Studios. We're going to be going to Super Nintendo World as well. So I'm going to be trying to go live from like maybe both of those places. So guys, make sure you come over and check out Picksburgh too if you haven't already.
Yeah. All links are down below in the description. So go ahead and hit everybody up, and appreciate everybody who stopped in. Great, you know, discussion with the chat, and appreciate it. And we'll see you guys next week on Collect and Profit. Come on back.
See you guys.